your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes. What did Nico know? What did Nico Harrison know? It has become a meme as the Lakers lost to the Timberwolves. What did Nico know? Even though, Luka didn't have a terrible series, what did Nico know? What did he know? And last night, with a 1.8% chance. So we tried to tell you, look, it didn't work out for the Kings, but we told y'all that there was a chance. There's always a chance. Somebody wins the lottery. When I'm talking about the actual money, the Kings didn't end up on the right side of this, but we always said that there was a chance.
The visions are clear now.
And they were for Nico. They were for Nico. Now, everybody wants to talk about whether this thing is rigged or not. If you believe it is rigged, then I guess, and I can't stop you from believing that, then the question just becomes, how do you want to approach a product? I mean, you still watch, how well does WWE do, right? I mean, it's scripted. I don't want to tick anybody off, but that makes a lot of money. Now, the difference is, and I don't know how much they talk about how open they are to, hey, the fact that this is scripted or not, but it's something that we've seen before. And I'm of the mindset, as much as I'm normally a tinfoil hat guy, I would like to believe that it is random. I would like to have the hope in my life that it is random and that you always have a chance. I'd prefer to believe that sort of thing. And we'll never know. Maybe we'll know in about 100 years, or we'll all be gone by then, unless you're, very, very healthy. We'll all know in 50 to 100 years whether or not it was actually rigged. But last night, Nico Harrison, I'm so glad. If I was Nico Harrison, the victory lap I would have taken, and they showed the video and they're all going crazy, some room that they're in. If I'm Nico Harrison and I saw the Dame Lillard meme, put some respect on my bleeping name. If I'm Nico Harrison, oh my goodness. Mavs fans, and I know obviously you need the fans. Nico said, I don't make moves for the fans, but you better talk to me nice. Now, I don't know if Cooper Flag I don't believe Cooper Flag, I should say, is going to be Luka Doncic or what we think Luka Doncic is going to be. But now, and we're going to discuss who made out the best after last night's lottery. But now, all of a sudden, the Mavericks are in a position where they could go after a Giannis. They could go after any of these big names we talked. Now, I don't think you're trading the number one pick for KD, but that makes that conversation, maybe you can get more back, more than just KD in a deal like that. So that changes everything. And if you're Nico Harrison, you better talk to me nice. You better talk to me nicely, because we built this brick by brick. He took a lot of you-know-what. And the reality is he still should have, because nobody saw this coming. But it is very, and people are saying there's no karma in life. I think I even tweeted that. Do what you want, man. There's no repercussions. There's no higher power. There are no basketball gods. Just do whatever the hell you want. All right? Whatever your moral code is, just do whatever. Who cares? There's no karma. There's nothing. Nico Harrison is the guy, and we all have a friend like this, the guy that does everything wrong, right, in life, messes around, loses jobs, a bunch of garbage, right? But he always lands on his feet, and he's your friend, so obviously you're happy that he's not struggling, but you also think, man, I could never get away with stuff like this. If I tried to do stuff like this, I would be in a much worse position. Some people just have it. And Nico Harrison now, he could go on and draft Ace Bailey and really lean into this Nico Harrison thing. But some people just always seem to fall on their feet. And part of that is how you even end up being in the front office anyway. To be completely honest with you, it's really hard. How many times have I Googled, how the hell do you become an NBA GM? And you look and there's 15 different ways. 15 different ways. So even to be in this position, yeah, you got to be successful, but you got agents becoming GMs. You got coaches becoming GMs. It takes a certain level of luck and on top of skill, don't get me wrong, to even be in this position. So all of these guys have done well, but there are a lot of successful people in America, in the world. So to land on your feet time and time again, Nico Harrison, and I always reference, it's so funny, I always reference this play, and I can never remember it, and somebody on the text line always reminds me, a play that my parents took me to very, very long ago, how to make it in the world, how to make it in America without doing anything. And that is Nico Harrison. And they have flipped this thing upside down. And it is not just the Mavs, of course. We're going to spend a lot of time on the Spurs because this is a problem. I'm literally sitting there with my family thinking, okay, got ties to Philly. I don't really mind if Philly gets number one. Obviously the Hornets are the Hornets. Just don't let the Western Conference teams get 1 and 2. They pull one thing. They pull another. And immediately, Hornets, Sixers, immediately. Next, you got, and I'm thinking at that point, honestly, I'm thinking, I think I forgot where the Mavs were in life, to be honest. Because my number one goal is don't let it go to the Spurs. Don't let it go to the Spurs. Which ultimately, it doesn't really, and it didn't, which ultimately didn't really matter because it's such a top-heavy draft anyway. The Spurs are still going to get top dollar for that pick if they decide to move it. Maybe they don't. So somebody say De'Aaron Fox might be, the amount of assets they have. You never know. The Spurs, the world is their oyster right now. So you're sitting there looking at what the West is becoming. We have a list of all the potential stars that might be in the West. And you look back, right? You know what it is? You ever think your shoes aren't that dirty until you walk into Foot Locker, right? I'd be with my parents and, hey, Allen, we'll get you some new shoes for school or whatever it is. Or I'm, hey, can we just go look? And then I intend to try to convince them to buy me something. And the shoes, I'm wearing them out. I'm at the mall. You know what I mean? I know people can see me with the shoes on. I don't think they look bad. I take care of myself. Then you walk in the store and you see all the brand new shoes. And you look down at your shoes and all of a sudden now they look dingy. Now they look grimy. They didn't look that bad before, but now I'm thinking, I need a new pair. This is crazy. I just cleaned them a couple days ago. They look terrible. Then you end up buying a new pair of shoes. That's how I'm looking at the Sacramento Kings right now. Like some dingy shoes. And everybody else got to walk in the Foot Locker. Kings, the only team to miss the playoffs and not have a first-round pick, by the way. Everybody else got to walk into Foot Locker, right? They're not going to get the same price on all the shoes. But everybody else that missed the playoffs got to walk into Foot Locker, take their pick. Okay, I'm going to be looking good. I'm going to be looking good this summer. I'm going to be looking good when school starts. Kings didn't get to walk into Foot Locker. They didn't even get to walk into Foot Locker. Okay? They're still walking around with the same dingy shoes. So they're going to have to go on eBay or something like that and try to get a nicer pair of shoes. That's where we're at right now. That's how I felt last night watching everybody. And, obviously the Bulls, we'll talk about the Bulls and how they were 0.1 away from, if Josh Giddey doesn't make that half-court shot, could they have ended up getting that number one pick? So a lot of people are, man, this is a tough situation to be in, but they're all in the store. The Kings are outside the club. They can't even get into the club. And to me, that was really disheartening yesterday. That was the most disheartening thing. And by the way, just real quick, was anybody else super confused as to how they unveiled everything? I don't think they did a great job explaining how the process was going to go. They're showing the ping pong balls. Then all of a sudden they had already updated it. I jumped up. I'm not even going to lie to you until I realized it was the Hawks. And then it was, it was all pre-done, right? I saw the Hawks picture and I thought for a second, oh wait, did the Kings pull it off? Then I realized, oh, they already had the picture. I saw some people on social media saying, yeah, it was a bit confusing. And Kevin Nagandi, shout out Kevin Nagandi, Temple University. He confused something, funny enough, because he's from Philly. He confused something with the Sixers. So that whole presentation, just show the balls. Just show them.
They did release the video afterwards,
Yeah,
which I haven't seen them do before.
Because just show them. Let's make this thing live, man. I'm sitting there, I'm like, the Kings, what's going on here? So Mavs wake up, brand new day. You have the Spurs in a great position. We'll talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference teams, too, that are in the top four. But really, this comes down to the West is a complete mess, man. And the Kings need to figure out how to get out of this purgatory one way or the other. We do also want to talk about just the lottery in general. And there are two sides here, okay? Rachel Nichols has a pulse on the situation. She's got an opinion. And Greeny from the Four Letter Network also has an opinion. We are going to juxtapose those against one another. And tell me where you fall on this, because honestly, I think I know where I fall, but I'm still trying to figure it out. We're talking about where the Kings can go from here. At 11, we have Coach Eric Martins talking about the A's and, kind of a rough series. There is a very alarming stat when it comes to the A's at Sutter Health Park. Let me put it to you like this. The only team that's worse to them or worse than them in this stat, the Colorado Rockies, who are historically bad. So we're going to ask Coach Eric Martins about that. We're also, towards the end of the show, going to get into some NFL, the Shador versus Dylan Gabriel, not drama, but we can understand why some teams didn't want to sign up for this. And Brock Purdy, Mark Schlereth, friend of the show, by the way, Mark Schlereth says by the end of the season, Brock Purdy will be looked at as a top 5 QB. Really, really excited for a Top of TO Tuesday. It's about to get spicy. 916-339-1140. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Carmichael Dave here for my good friends at American Energy. As a native Sacramentan, I can tell you, not that you need to know, that it might be nice right now, but turn the corner and oh my God, it's so hot. Yeah, summer is coming. And my friends at American Energy want to make sure you are dialed with your AC unit. So how about this? Half off tune-up. Right now, it's a special going on, just $24.50 to get your air conditioner tuned up. A free diagnostic. And oh, by the way, if you need a new AC unit, up to $3,500 in rebates on qualifying system installations. That's right. They've been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Here's the song.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
The fourth pick of the NBA draft goes to the Charlotte Hornets. Picking third will be the Philadelphia 76ers. The second pick will be made by the San Antonio Spurs. The number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
I don't know how much I can say on this, so it's going to be my friend, of course. But my friend always tells me about, you ever go to a casino and you're kind of just doing the right things, right? My friend will tell me this story, whether it's Thunder Valley, Sky River, maybe you're in Vegas, or maybe you're in, maybe you're in Reno. Shout out Reno, beautiful this time.
Carson City.
That's right. Shout out Carson City. And my friend will tell me about, there'll be somebody at the roulette table playing blackjack, and they're just kind of a jerk, right? They're not personable. Hey, man, we're all losing money together. We're all winning money together. This is a community thing. Nobody is, unless you get real, real hot at these games in particular, not leaving with life-changing money. Go on a slot if you want that, right? So let's be a little personable, right? There's nothing wrong with that. This guy doesn't want to talk to anybody. Just kind of a jerk, not tipping when the cards go in their way, when the dealer gives him a good card, but he just keeps winning. You're thinking, man, this guy is a bleep hole and keeps winning. Where's the karma? Where is the karma? That's Nico Harrison in the Mavs. Sometimes it just doesn't add up. And you just start thinking, you know what? I don't really know if there is that, the basketball god. Do they exist? We always joke and say, ball don't lie, right? When there's a foul called that wasn't really a foul. Oh, basketball gods, they got that one. But the reality is, most of the time they make the free throws. We don't say anything when they make the free throws. What about that? What's the percentage of ball don't lie, make or misses? I guarantee you, most of the time they make the free throws, even if it actually wasn't a foul. So I've woken up this morning deciding that there is no higher power. So there's nothing. So it's just random. We're just floating through life.
So it took the Dallas Mavericks landing Cooper flag for you to deny God.
Basketball God, let me be clear. And gambling God, that one too. You got to segment
that one
them.
Definitely.
You got to segment them off.
Gambling God definitely doesn't exist.
It's the same God. It's the same lottery, the karma God, whatever it is. Doesn't exist to me.
Disavowing God because of Cooper flag landing on the Mavericks.
Because of Nico Harrison and whatever Nico Harrison knew. 916-339-1140. The 916, there's a text saying, please explain how the Kings didn't get a draft pick. They sent that in about 5 minutes ago. Yeah, so when they acquired Kevin Huerter, okay, part of that deal was a protected pick. The Kings fell outside of that protection, so it then was moved to the Hawks, who the Hawks were hoping that would happen or looking for that to happen when they traded Kevin Huerter. So that's pretty much it.
Best case scenario for the Hawks, which was they got the 13th pick in exchange for Kevin Huerter, because last year it was lottery protected. Kings obviously missed the playoffs, so they were in the lottery. That's why they have Devin Carter. And then because it went from a top 14 to a top 12 protection, the Kings lost their pick this year.
Rachel Nichols had this to say, and there are two sides to this. We're gonna address both of them for you. So Rachel Nichols says, I get it that the draft lottery was instituted to discourage tanking. But the problem is that the way the CBA is now constructed, the only real way teams can recover from a bad situation is to strip it all down, tank, and start over again in the draft. She goes on to say, all the Lucas stuff aside, the team that will draft Cooper Flag already has 3 future Hall of Famers on it. The team picking number 2 already has a generational player in Wemby and the reigning Rookie of the Year, also untouchable. This isn't the route to competitive balance. So Rachel Nichols is essentially saying, y'all need to go the NFL route, right? And when you stink, and you get rewarded for stinking. Now, here is Greeny from Get Up, and Greeny takes the complete opposite approach to tanking and how we should view tanking here.
The team with the worst record has now not selected first overall in 7 straight seasons, coinciding with the start of the new lottery format. So when Adam Silver changed around, tweaked a few things there, he did it, and he came on the show and talked about it because he recognizes, as should every sports fan, tanking is a scourge. Tanking is a disgrace. Tanking runs contrary to literally everything sports is designed to be. Incentivizing losing is the worst mistake any sport can possibly make, any sports league can make. And as a result, I think it is great news. People saying, oh, this isn't working because the worst teams aren't getting the pick. Shut up. That's exactly the wrong way to look at it. This way, win games. Go out there and win games and see what happens. And you know what should happen? The NFL should add this.
Yes.
Every sport should add this.
Yes.
The lottery is a brilliant idea, and I would completely favor, I know Shefty was on talking about it on the radio this morning. I would absolutely be in favor of the NFL going to some sort of draft lottery so you stop with the tanking, which is the worst thing in sport.
Both two good thought processes, right? I mean, what Rachel Nichols is saying about the CBA, and obviously what Greeny is saying, Greeny even bringing up football. I think a lot of time football, when it comes to tanking, there's just such a limited amount of good QBs that you don't really need to quote unquote tank. It's just, yeah, we just don't have a good QB. And that's pretty much what it is. The more actively, quote unquote, tanking happens, I think, in basketball rather than football, because if you don't have a good QB, you're probably headed in that direction. My initial thoughts on this is that if you're asking me, do I lean closer to Rachel Nichols or Greeny, I'd probably say Rachel Nichols, because I feel like Greeny is simplifying things a little too much. Rachel Nichols brings up the CBA. I would also bring up the fact that and somebody said this on the text line already, yeah, Cooper Flagg is probably jumping up and down. He was a professional, but that brother did not want to go to Washington, and that brother did not want to go to Charlotte. There is no way. There is no way. He's looking and he's like, I get the Spurs and all the other teams that didn't even make it. Oh, even the 76ers, sure. But I get the Spurs. I get any of these teams. Now I just got to avoid the Hornets.
Something tells me he might have been okay with Utah.
Maybe. But, again, you're starting from the bottom. Now, where I like what Greeny is saying is Utah was egregious with what they tried to do. Completely egregious. Lori marketing, they're getting fined. Yeah, that was, they don't deserve to get the first pick because they were just so blatant, so obvious, and that was a bit embarrassing. But to ignore the collective bargaining agreement, once you draft too well or you're too good at your job, you have to keep the quote-unquote competitive balance. I think that the NBA needs to figure out what exactly is that they want, because you want competitive balance when it comes to the CBA, and once it's time for these guys to get paid and the first apron, second apron, and things like that, but you're not necessarily looking for competitive balance in the same way when you're discussing the lottery, because, and I get it, Washington just had a top pick last season, so you're not just going to be able to stack them up. But now you have a Dallas Mavericks team left to a chance of 1.8, adding in a possible generational player or a generational asset. We've been talking about Cooper Flagg in the main event for 4 years. And now the Mavericks get a get out of jail free card. Mind you, that's not without its question marks from the discussions about the Mavericks wanting to move to Vegas as well. And was that part of why they moved off of Luka? That throws gasoline on that fire, but that's a different conversation. So the competitive balancing, I just feel like the NBA needs to figure out what exactly it is that they want. The other part of this is that markets matter more in the NBA than anywhere else. We've discussed this before. The NFL is king, right? You only have a certain amount of games, okay? The urgency's always there. And you could put, and they're probably going to, you could put a team in Spain where they're playing a game coming up this season. They just released their international schedule, and you give that thing 5 years and it'll probably do well. And they're already looking to do stuff like that. The NBA is not cooking like that yet. It's not. So when you look at, okay, so I'm the Washington Wizards or I'm the Charlotte Hornets. So, and give me, and to be fair, yeah, the Hornets, they got LaMelo, they got Brandon Miller. At some point, you got to figure this thing out. LaMelo can't stay on the court. That's not the NBA's problem. But at the same time, you start looking around, and a Utah Jazz has never got the first overall pick. As much as I don't like how they went about it this season, that seems kind of weird. And I hate using the F word as in fair, but that doesn't seem terribly fair, right? So I don't necessarily disagree with all that Greeny is saying, but when you take into account the CBA and the aprons and how they're trying to keep a competitive balance there, but then you allow a Dallas Mavericks team who just lost Luka Doncic, trade him away for another Hall of Famer with 3 Hall of Famers. So you want competitive balance when it comes to the CBA. But in the lottery, you let a team like the Dallas Mavericks get a Cooper Flagg. Now they can flip him for Giannis. They can do whatever they want. Just you got to pick your struggle, NBA. Pick your struggle. Then on top of that, we know this for a fact, and this is the last point I'll make. We know for a fact that there are markets that free agents will never go to. So you're not even operating the same way as other teams like the Lakers. The Lakers don't need to win the lottery. They know they can always just re-up and find a Giannis or Luka's going to be dropped on their doorstep like the stork drops babies, and they're going to be okay. But other teams aren't going to be able to do that. So I do more so lean on Rachel Nichols' side. I don't necessarily disagree with Greeny's thought process, but in my opinion, he's leaving some important pieces out that you can't really have this conversation if you do leave stuff like that out. 916-339-1140. Where are you at? Do you think the lottery is fair? Do you think the best or the worst team should get the best pick? Should it be like the NFL, or should the NFL start to copy the NBA? Who is in the best position after the draft lottery? Is it the Mavericks? Is it the Spurs? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, the A's call-up of last year's first-round pick and fourth selection overall in the draft, Nick Kurtz, is not surprising, but his rise through the A's minor league system is pretty astounding. Kurtz has played in only 32 minor league games, but the numbers are eye-popping. A .336 average, 11 home runs, and 37 RBIs. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like two sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for that water wheel.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
The number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
During the break, I was also thinking, Allen Stiles here, Sacktown Sports, take up to 2 p.m. During the break, as we're discussing tanking and whether the lottery is fair or whether you should just be able to lose games, and the more games you lose, the better your pick is. The more I was thinking about it, especially in a game like basketball where it's only 5-on-5, there's so many moving parts in the NFL. I'll never forget, people don't even talk about the Colts, who, Peyton Manning was injured or whatever the case was, and they basically lined up Andrew Luck. Now, Andrew Luck ended up not playing as long as a lot of us thought because of injuries and things like that, but nobody really complained about that, and it was just kind of obvious. Going back to when we all thought, I shouldn't say we, but when a lot of us thought that Shedeur was going to be a top pick, I mean, literally, there were arguments, and we played what Antonio Pierce said, right? 4 or 5 months ago when they won that random game, and Antonio Pierce said, talk to Tom Telesco. So I think, to me, I'm more so on the side of the teams that stink. I guess I'm more so against the lottery simply because, and somebody is making the argument, I like that tanking didn't lead to the number one pick. The reason for the lottery is just for that. You reap what you sow. I'm pretty sure all the players get paid, so do your dang job. That's Frank on the Sack Chat. But I think that also lends itself to the other side of the argument, because in my estimation, everybody is getting paid and everybody wants to win on the court, right? So you got 82 games. You got Josh Giddey randomly beating the Lakers in under 10 seconds, which ended up kind of costing them the pick. But I don't think that, and I don't, you look at the Wizards. They have a bunch of young talent because, again, nobody is really signing up to go to Washington or the Hornets. So they're trying to build through the draft, which is how small markets build through the draft. And the idea, again, we can remove the Jazz because that was some BS. The Jazz were some BS. Besides the Jazz, the other teams that stunk, they actually stunk, right? So
the Wizards too.
They stunk.
No, but they remember the game they played against the Kings. They just sat everybody in the fourth quarter.
That was sure, not as egregious to me. They, you try early. The Wizards early, I think, oh, hey, maybe we can mess around and be in a play-in. Okay, we're not going to be in a play-in. The Jazz had no intention of doing anything, specifically because they're in the West. But when you see some of these teams that they only have certain paths to be competitive, and now one path you can't really depend on, to me, it's more about, well, then let's not argue about competitive balance then. Let's take away the CBA, okay? Because it's, hey, all y'all are billionaires. Make it Major League Baseball. Pay what you want. Add in who you want. May the best man win. So there's certain parameters here and there. And getting back to the actual gameplay, anything can happen. All the bettors out there, how many times you lay a 5-team parlay and the most obvious team that's supposed to win loses that game. Most obvious. So this stuff happens. So you have 5 guys out there, a 15 team roster, all trying to win. I'm just of the mindset that things will even out a little bit versus what we have now, and the Mavericks with the 1.8 chance, who probably would have been in the playoffs they would have been fighting. They would have been, I don't know, the top side of the play-in, I would say. So a good chance to get in. Also leaning into next season where they're going to have a full season of AD, Kyrie, and we think Klay Thompson. And now they add in what they just added in. So I understand why people, don't stink, tanking is bad, but I just think it's getting oversimplified a little bit.
Yeah, because when people talk about tanking, they talk about getting the generational star, right? That's the thing that rewards tanking, is if you're the team that gets the number 1 pick. No one cares that the Sixers tanked this season and got the number 3 pick. It only matters that you get the number 1 pick, because in a lot of cases, the number 1 pick inherently is the person everyone sees and says, that person is going to be an all-star.
Right.
But the idea that you inherently can't rebuild through picks 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is just not true. You can draft a star or an all-star in different spots in the draft. I pulled the numbers just real quick for, Greeny mentioned the 7 years since they've flattened the lottery odds. And so I looked up players who have either in those 7 years that were drafted between 2019 and now that either made an all-star team or won a rookie of the year. I'm just using that as the gauge for, a player who is a major hit in a draft that like justifies tanking a season to get that player.
Right.
And there's been 15 of them, which is basically 2 a year. So you're trying to get one of 2 guys in the draft every year. And
that's not all. I mean, I would say probably a lot of times it's the number 1 pick, but not always.
Yeah. So here's the numbers on it. This is the draft slots of those players. 5 of the 15 have been the number 1 pick in the draft. Mm-hmm. Makes sense,
yes.
2 of them have been the number 3 pick in the draft. 2 of them have been the number 4 pick in the draft. 2 of them have been the number 12 pick in the draft. 1 was at number 2, 1 was at number 5, 1 was at number 13, 1 was at number 16, and 1 was at number 21.
Yeah.
Which is the idea that why Rachel Nichols is wrong in this case is that tanking as a strategy is about inherently collecting young players, and you can get those players at any spot in the top 5. Houston never got the number 1 pick. Oklahoma City never got the number 1 pick. And those teams were able to rebuild in spite of that fact. Now, they got number 2s and number 3s during their run in the lottery. And if you have the worst record in the league, you're guaranteed to have at least a top 5 pick like Utah has. But if you spend enough years in the lottery, you're going to collect that young talent. You just need to get that one all-star at some point.
That's a great point. And I understand that, the whole thing is a gamble. That's also the reality of it. And would it just make you feel better? Oh, well, the Wizards, because I don't think that the Wizards should be able to just sit there and just tank every season until they have a starting 5 of the last 5 number 1, number 2 picks. I don't think that either. And the Wizards, by the way, picking at number 6. So it's rough.
But they also had the number 2 pick last year.
They did. And I would argue that you shouldn't be able to have consecutive picks. I would argue that. I would say you can't just sit there and have 3 years in a row, top 3 picks. Even though I lean more on Rachel Nichols' side, I also say there should be obviously parameters around that as well.
Sure. You're making the point because now the Spurs have won the lottery 3 years in a row.
Now I think they should, I don't care. They're not going to stink bad enough. And, then it gets into what you traded for and who you have. So there's no easy way to do it. Last night just felt really weird for the Mavs to get, and I said the Pelicans didn't deserve it either because they've got it too much and they haven't done anything.
Sure, but if it had been Toronto, would people be pounding their fists on the table because Toronto landed Cooper Flagg, despite the fact that they got Scotty Barnes 4 years ago at the top of the draft?
That's 4 years ago.
Sure, but that's the idea of like. Dallas is weird because of everything that happened with Luka and the fact they were in the NBA Finals 10 months ago, which is an insane thing to say that Dallas was in the NBA Finals.
And Scotty didn't go number 1.
No, he was number 4, but Toronto had to jump up in the lottery to get him.
Right. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Casey. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Casey? What you got for us?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
So here's my idea for the draft to prevent tanking. So you split the lottery up into 2 lotteries. You have 1 through 7 and 8 through 14, and it's a complete random draw. Every team has the same odds to get 1 through 7, but you have to be the 7 worst teams. So the teams that finish 1 through 7 first all have the same chance to get number 1. But if you finish 8 through 14, you don't have a chance because you don't really need number 1.
Thanks for the call, Casey. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to do this. I don't necessarily mind that one. JR, what you got for us?
Hey, welcome back to the West Coast.
Oh, thank you.
This station was going to hell, literally. Thank you.
Yes.
Carmichael Dave didn't. I had to explain the Catholic Church to Carmichael Dave and how the Pope's appointed and all this stuff. So thank you for coming back.
I'm sure that was great radio. What you got for us?
It was great radio. Good ratings for you guys. Hey, here's the thing. Kyle just hit it. You still got to get the right pick. And if it's not the first pick, you still got to hit on your other ones, which he just went through the math of rookie of the year and talented players that make all-star teams. So there's definitely a rhyme and reason there. Mm-hmm. But if you're old enough to remember the Spurs, they tanked, got Duncan when they already had the Admiral Robinson, and they went on to win 3 or 4 championships, I think. I can't remember exactly what the Spurs.
Right.
Not a big Spurs fan. But that was the ultimate tanking, using the lottery to your advantage, figuring it out. And, of course, Pop didn't miss a beat with figuring out, okay, these are the pieces I need to make this happen. They almost pulled it. I thought they might pull it off again this year if they would have got something, because they would have had Wembley and then pulled up Cooper, and that would have been huge.
Thanks for the call, JR. Yeah, I think I felt the same way, where I'm thinking, not the Spurs, no way. And then when it was the Mavs, you thought, oh, that's actually kind of worse in a way based on how everything went down. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Mitch, who wants to be a part of the conversation. What's up, Mitch? What you got for us?
Alan, how you doing? Do you remember how many times the Kings were in the top 10, top 5, and they didn't do so well?
Yeah.
The Spurs always in good drafting.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to hit on stuff. Thanks for the call, Mitch. And TC to close us out. What's up, TC? What you got?
Bro, so listen, we in a better predicament than we was. Now we got all of our draft picks. If we wanted to go trade 3 or 4 draft picks for a big name or 2 for a cool guy or a couple pieces, bro, we're straight, man. I like the predicament we in right now. Like, okay, so Kings fans, let me ask a question. So say if we were the Jazz, right? Say if we did tank and we got the first round pick, be on these airwaves super hot that we have to drop down and we wouldn't get Cooper, bro. So I'm cool on all that tanking, bro. We got our draft picks. Let's get ready to rumble, bro. We're straight.
Thanks for the call, TC. When we return, let's see how straight the Kings are. We are going to read off what the West might look like as far as those players that are already in the West or could be in the West as well, and who is in the best position after the draft lottery. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one.
Hey there, I'm Phil Briggs, Navy veteran and host of CBS Eye on Veterans weekly radio show and podcast. And over the years, I've loved sharing military stories with my neighbor Greg, a battle-tested former Army Ranger. He's a barbecue master and always welcomes us over. As it's Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants all active duty, veterans, and family to know that they're always eligible to join. Because at Navy Federal, our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture with daily use.
Allen Stiles here with your Sacktown Sports Injury Update, brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Zach Geloff suffered a setback as he was pulled from his rehab assignment with AAA Las Vegas due to a stress reaction in his ribs that occurred while taking a swing. There's no timetable for his return. Ken Waldichuk, out with that left elbow sprain, threw all 30 of his pitches in a side session last week and will throw another session this week and is targeting a return during the All-Star break. This injury report was brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group.
Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222 and visit them at calldowntown.com.
One of the hottest giveaways of the 2025 baseball season is finally here. The Sacramento River Cats are hosting Corduroy Bucket Hat Giveaway Night, presented by Power Market. This must-have fashion statement will be given to the first 2,500 fans inside Sutter Health Park for the River Cats game on Friday, May 30th. Be part of one of the most stylish nights of the 2025 season. Arrive early for Corduroy Bucket Hat Night on May 30th and get your tickets at rivercats.com.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Seth Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is, live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Seth Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Seth's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Memorial Day savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado TurboMax in stock. And Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections of new Silverado in the Sacramento area. $12,500 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big. Huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Less than 21 remaining. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
On Sacktown Sports.
Who is in the best position after the lottery? Now, we try to be optimistic on this show. Sometimes you can feel a bit pessimistic as well. I would say yesterday you felt like that. At least I did. So here's a list of, just players that are going to be, or we think are going to be in the West next season. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jokic, LeBron, Steph, Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Luka, Cooper Flagg, Wemby, Giannis. There's a conversation there about Giannis, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Zach LaVine, Kyrie, Jamal Murray, Kawhi, James Harden, Şengün, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zion. It's a lot, man. This is a mess. And yes, the Giannis thing is huge, right? That list is essentially the real only additions there is Giannis and Cooper Flagg, right? Those are two big additions, though. And that's why I've always thought, if I'm Giannis, why am I going to the Western Conference? That's what I've always thought. Now, there's some reports, we'll get to them, about Giannis. The Giannis Warriors train is chugging along again. It happens once every couple years. But then you have, if there's a jump from Jalen Williams, who's a number 2 right now on a number 1 seed, and guys like that you could include if you wanted. You look at that, and even on this list, bringing no disrespect, but bringing up Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis, yeah, they for sure deserve to be on it. Don't get me wrong, but you start looking at who is paired with who, and it is interesting when you read it. Anthony Edwards is the only person or the only player on this list from the Timberwolves, right? And it just goes back to the idea of you have to find the dude. And you might not find the dude in the draft, and maybe you don't need the dude per se, but you need a collection of dudes. Obviously, LeBron played with Anthony Davis. Now he's playing with Luka. You have Steph and Jimmy Butler together now. You have Jokic, Jamal Murray. You have SGA and Jalen Williams. So there's only about, Kawhi and Harden. And Booker and KD, it didn't work out. So there's really, this list does not include Bradley Beal. But there's only, and part of this is the CBA, but there's only a couple teams that are going to have, 2-3 elite guys. So as crazy as it sounds, it's about Domantas Sabonis playing like the rest of this list, and it's about Zach LaVine playing like the rest of this list and building the team around them, and you can have a conversation. You can have a conversation. Now, I don't think it's a championship conversation, but you can have a competitive conversation for sure. You look now, and what's crazy is you got Kyrie, AD, and now Luka, and now Cooper Flagg right now all on the same team. I'm trying to convince myself and talk Giannis out of coming to the West. I'm trying to do it, but I don't think I'm doing a great job.
Let's play the game a little differently here. Let's say Giannis goes to San Antonio or Houston. Mm-hmm. Let's just play that game for a second. That would mean, assuming, and also we can now say Jason Tatum might be out for an extended period of time, potentially.
Right.
If both of those scenarios happen, you would have the top 8 players in the NBA all in the Western Conference. You would have Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Luka, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, Wemby, and LeBron James.
All in the West.
Those are the 8 best players in the sport, according to the Ringer's, player rankings thing. And who would be the best player in the East? Jalen Brunson? Tyrese Halliburton? Donovan Mitchell?
You could maybe Paolo takes a leap. I mean, it could be anybody.
Yeah, but the underlying point is you would have the top 8 in the West on 6 different teams potentially, because obviously Luka and LeBron and Wemby and Giannis, we'll see what happens. But that's a tough situation to navigate if the West is going to be that top heavy.
By the way, and just wanted to make a note on this. Obviously, if you were watching the game last night, whether you were or weren't, Jason Tatum would appear to be, because Kyle, you just brought up Jason Tatum, would appear, I didn't see an ankle turn. They called it a lower leg injury. People are now just kind of discussing what the deal is. Obviously, you get the Twitter doctors out there. They're saying they saw the little, sorry for anybody eating breakfast or lunch, the little vibration when you rupture your Achilles. If you're new to the show, I tore mine about I think next month will be 2 years ago. So obviously we're hoping the best. I've seen reports that the longer it takes for them to come out with something might actually be better for Jason Tatum, because Dame was pretty immediate. It was Chris Haynes the next morning. Oh, but at the same time, he ain't playing in game. That series is cooked as far as I'm concerned. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is looking around. Me? Yeah, you're getting paid $300 million, brother. We're looking at you. So prayers go out to Jason Tatum. Just a really sad situation. They were going to lose that game anyway, but you never know what could have happened as they made their way back to Boston.
Sure. And if Tatum is out at this point, it kind of shakes the blueprint a little bit for Boston. But does the Jason Tatum injury mean I don't have to buy you food anymore?
I'll give you a break, since Taco Bell was so expensive and you're paying that off. So I'll give you a break there.
Do I get a cop out because the Celtics lost Jason Tatum and definitely were gonna win that game?
We can go with that. We can go with that. The other part of this is getting back to how the West looks. I don't have the energy to have a conversation about the lottery and have a conversation about getting rid of conferences in one sitting, but we are getting to that point. And I would say, Adam Silver has tried to prove to be pretty dynamic and pretty flexible when it comes to things that make sense. At the same time, I think that the reason I wouldn't do it, and it all comes back to money, is if you get rid of the Eastern Conference and Western Conference when it comes to playoffs, then you have, again, you're looking at a competitive balance in a different way. You're basically just saying, hey, Eastern Conference, you're trash. You're isolating the Western Conference a little bit more so than you had been. And I know that the NBA loves those Eastern Conference dollars and just a disbursement of dollars as well, because, you can make the argument, well, you have you got 4 teams from California. I would like to have a kind of a mix in there, and Detroit, I believe, would have made it anyway. But, you throw a Miami. Now, the difference is these teams, the Orlando Magics of the world, are not ratings juggernauts at all. So I think a conversation might happen, but yeah, what a crazy night for the NBA, where you have Cooper Flag and now you have just a ridiculous, we'll have the conversation, I think, in a more serious fashion if Giannis comes to the West, yeah, I would probably be on board with what are we actually doing here when it comes to the conferences? And, we can do the comparisons as to teams that made the playoffs this season in the West and in the East. But if Giannis leaves, I know things can sway, and the East is better than it's been, but it's getting just like Boogie said, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Eric Martins, third base coach for the Athletics, joins us on the other side. We discuss what happened against the Yankees, and they get ready to take on the Dodgers and then the Giants. Talk about a juggernaut. That's a juggernaut of a schedule coming up. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Typically, a high handicapper carries an index of 20 or more. Golf Monthly's Barry Plummer offers 4 tips if you're tired of that high handicap. First, choose the right equipment. Invest in a 5-wood, which is more forgiving than a 3-wood or a 3 hybrid. It's a much better option for getting the ball in the air. Second, play for bogey on par 5s. Break the longer holes into manageable chunks, perhaps aiming to hit the green with 4 easy swings while also navigating away from the trouble along the way. 3, leave the sand wedge in the bag for chipping. Up and down percentages are almost twice as good when chipping a 9-iron over a sand wedge, and 3.5 times better with the putter. And finally, stop leaving your putts short. A 20 handicapper leaves 55% of their missed putts short of the hole. Give yourself a chance with every attempt and don't leave another putt short. Try these simple tips and let's see whether your handicap starts to come down. And have some fun out there. That'll help too. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman. Plus Billy Currington, Nate Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
People are coming from all over to Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, from Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because they've seen for themselves the huge selection and the best prices at SacSuperstore.com. Good luck finding a lower price anywhere else. And if you do, they'll match it. It's as simple as that. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where a handshake still means something. Open until 10 o'clock and essentially located right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. And online at SacSuperstore.com. The guaranteed lowest price and the best selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Rams. SacSuperstore.com.
Ralph Barbosa.
I just don't like going to church, man. I don't like the people there. Like, if those are the people that are going to be hanging out in heaven, I just go to hell.
Renee Vaca.
I'm Mexican though, man. Stereotypical Mexican. When Donald Trump called us drug dealers though, all right, he got his eye.
The Butterfly Effect Tour, Friday, May 23rd. The venue at Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss Ralph Barbosa and Renee Vaca.
For 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local, but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting SacktownSports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
On Sacktown Sports.
just got a little bit of news. This is from Jake Fisher. Obviously, he works with Mark Stein on that Substack. Here's the quote, and this is regarding DeMar DeRozan. The focus in the California Capitol shifts now to what sort of dealing we could see from the Kings' new regime. There has been no shortage of rumbles since the hiring of Scott Perry as general manager that Sacramento is expecting to gauge the trade market for veteran swingman DeMar DeRozan. So not breaking news, but it's a bit more official now that, and I think that the interest will be mutual and we're going to discuss that in a bit. But right now, we are joined by Eric Martins, third base coach for the Athletics. And there's a reason I let in with this coach, Eric, and I'm wondering if you can guess what that is.
The DeMar DeRozan being from LA.
There you go.
LA Laker.
There you go. Can I answer? I was talking to Kyle about this, and I got to be honest with you, Coach. And Kyle's already laughing. This has bugged me for a long time. Okay. I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in Concord, California. Obviously, you grew up in LA. Coach, it's been bugging me, man. And cool. I love the Sacramento Kings, DeMar DeRozan. When they came home, or when he signed with the Kings, and they said, wow, DeMar DeRozan came home. Coach, what are we doing with that? That's 7 hours. That's not home,
man.
That's not home.
Definitely not home. Definitely not home.
It bugged me though. It still bugs me.
Right. Yeah. It gets me too. When they come to California, they think LA and NorCal are the same. No, it's not. Definitely not.
It's not. Talking to Coach Eric Martins, third base coach for the A's. Coach, I was also thinking about this, right? So I tell people I'm still waiting for the call. I didn't get the call, but I still had a kind of welcome to the league moment. And I'm at Temple University facing a dude named Pat Light, and he played at Monmouth, went in one of the supplemental rounds, whatever it is. Dude was throwing 96. And that was maybe the first time I'm sitting there. You know, you got swagger as a player. That was the first time, Coach, I thought, I don't know that I'm built for this. Not that I'm not built for this, but I don't know what to do here. Can you tell us about a time during your playing career where, you know, maybe it just took a minute for you at the beginning? You thought, oh, this is what we're doing now. This is a whole new level.
Oh, I got stories. I'll tell you what. The first time was probably my second game of playing. I'm playing shortstop. You know, in college, I was as a middle infielder. They got to slide straight into the bag, and now the rules are slide straight into the bag. But back in my day, they can take you out. I mean, as long as their pinky fingernail can touch the bag, that's a legal slide.
Right.
So I remember I'm playing shortstop, ground ball up the middle, second baseman gives me the ball. I turn around and I have 6'4", 235 Derek Gibson, who was supposed to go play tight end at University of Auburn, but decided to play baseball, in my face, ready to take me out and throw me out in the center field. And somehow I was able to get out of the way. When I threw this ball, I was like, whoa, okay, it's a little different. I'm going to have to be ready. I'm going to have to be ready for this. So, yeah, I remember that specifically because I turned around and it was just someone just in my face, ready to kill me, take me out. And I was like, wow, okay, all right, here we go. Here we go, lock it in.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was just thinking about it because the A's, such a young squad as far as the position players with Nick Kurtz coming up and guys like that. So I'm thinking, I know Coach probably got a couple welcome to the league moments. Let's talk about the A's and the Yankees, that series that just happened. They sell out all 3 days. Mother's Day had the highest attendance out of those 3 days. It was Mother's Day weekend. Just tell us about the environment out there. I was out of town, but I was keeping tabs on everything. For those that weren't able to make it, you know, you get that second game of the series as well, so you get a W against the Bronx Bombers. Tell us about the kind of all the vibes out there.
Man, it was electric, man. I tell you what, man, the city of Sacramento has really showed out, whether it's been a sellout crowd or a decent crowd. They've come in and brought a lot of energy, man. And so it's been a fun place to play and call home. I mean, the energy, the environment, the vibe. Even the other teams have said, hey, this is cool, man. This is good for, you know, for what it is. They come out and there's energy. And so it's been really good, man. This series this weekend was incredible. I mean, it was packed. It was nice. I mean, that Saturday game was electric, but it was hot. So it was one of those things where it was like, I wish we could have gave them a better showing, but you know what? They came out anyway, man, and they supported. So it was awesome.
Talking to Coach Eric Martins, third base coach for the A's. So, Coach, just to kind of pivot a little bit here, we were looking up some numbers and, just some crazy, crazy scores coming out of Sutter Health Park. The A's right now, they have the worst run differential, or the second worst run differential at home in all of the major leagues. The only team worse is the Rockies. You're still in the third tied for the third wild card spot right now. So, I mean, it's actually pretty impressive in that way. What does the team, what does the pitching staff have to do to figure out what's going on at Sutter Health with some of these kind of crazy scores?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I can't really understand it myself. You know what I mean? We do so well on the road, and we had a good homestand, the last homestand we were at. So it's just one of those things, man. I mean, it, for some reason, I don't know if it's a curse or what's going on at home, but we got to be able to break that thing. Teams have come in and put up some good numbers in that place, and we've scored some runs there too. But unfortunately, we've given a lot more runs than we have gotten. So I don't know, man. It'll right the ship will ride up here pretty soon, and we'll be fine. It's just one of those things right now that's happening early. Get those games out of the way early, and we're still hanging on, so that's a good thing. I mean, we're in wherever the wild card is right now in May. That makes no difference, but just the fact that we're there with what we're doing right now, I mean, it can only get better. So we'll be fine.
And now, you're in LA, you're taking on the Dodgers, you go straight. And we talked about this last week, Yankees, Dodgers, and then you have the Giants and there's still a bit of a rivalry there. So let's first talk about the Dodgers as a team in general. I know from your side of things, hey, we're going to approach everything the same way, but you take a look at the Dodgers lineup, you take a look at their pitching staff, and is there a level of, you know what, let's go out there and show what we can do. Obviously, you just had that with the Yankees, but do you get juiced up a little bit as a team when you get an opportunity against the best in the league?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's one of the things that we want to be in those positions, right? And so when you get to play the best teams in the league, you want to go out there and compare yourself and see, okay, we can compete with these guys, and go out and show them that, hey, we're for real and we're coming here in the next year or so. So when we get to play the Dodgers and get to play the Yankees at home, and being able to go up to San Francisco, it's going to be one of those things where our guys are going to be up to the task and be ready to go. I mean, we want to play those teams, because if we're able to get in the playoffs, we're going to have to beat one of those teams, or the Yankees in the American League, to be able to move on. So it's a good test early to see where we're at. It's a good test for our guys to see where they're at and understand, hey, we need to be better in these areas. And it's good that we're getting some of these games out of the way. We've had a pretty tough schedule early, man. We had the Padres, the Mets early, the Cubs, now the Yankees. I mean, so we're setting ourselves up for later on in the season to be able to right the ship in some of the areas where we need to get better.
Obviously, LA guy, we talked about it when you hopped on. If there are any A's fans heading down to LA, or A's fans already in LA, what's a food spot? Where's somewhere they gotta hit while they're down there? And don't give me Roscoe's. Give me somewhere, more underground where they can hit and enjoy themselves.
My favorite spot when I'm down here, man, is King Taco. I mean, go get me a carne asada burrito and a couple tacos from there, and I'm a happy man. Actually, I got a couple of my friends that are coming to the game that are bringing me some that I'm going to have after the game. So I'm locked in. So that's my spot. I love King Taco. If you're going to go down to, you can go to Alvera Street and go to Los Cielo and get some taquitos there, man. I mean, it's off the hook there. So there's a lot of good places to come to LA and go eat.
There you go. There you go. Coach, couple changes to the top of the lineup this week. Jacob Wilson was leading off. Tyler Soderstrom hitting second. Brent Rooker hitting third. What were you seeing from those guys that made the coaching staff want to maybe switch things up a bit?
I think we had to a little bit. We want to take a little pressure off Lawrence. Lawrence is going to be fine. But Jacob's been getting on, man. So the more at bats that we can get him and Soderstrom and Rooker going throughout the game, who have been our most consistent hitters as of now, it makes us better. You know what I mean? And now if Law starts going off in the 5, 6, 7 hole, wherever he's at, it just extends it. So you do that during the season, and you ride the waves of how guys are hitting, and you want to get the guys the more at bats and the more opportunities that the guys that are swinging the bats well. So right now Jacob's getting on. He's doing a good job. Sody's actually looks like he's coming back now. He was in a little funk too. No one really talks about it, but that's just the ebbs and flows of the season, man. So you just ride things out, you switch things up, get guys in the perfect position and situation to help us win.
Last one for you, Coach, and this is something that I've just kind of been interested in, and I've talked to Kyle about it. I've talked to Whitey Gleason about it in the afternoon show. So I would say when me and you both were coming up, it was very typical. First, the leadoff hitter is your speedster, right? Gets on base. Your second hitter can handle the bat, get him over. Third hitter is your best hitter. Fourth hitter is your best power hitter, so on and so forth. We've seen kind of a shift, and I think a couple different shifts. At one point, there were some leadoff hitters around the league. I'm thinking, where's the little center fielder running around? That's not the leadoff hitter I remember. and now it feels like that 2-hitter has replaced the 3-hitter as far as the best hitter in the lineup. Do the A's kind of work in that world with that 2-hitter being your quote-unquote best hitter, or are you still more traditional with the 3-hitter being your best hitter?
I think you hit it on the head. I mean, the shift has gone to the 2-hole hitter being your best hitter, and that's just being because you get more opportunities, more at-bats. They run the numbers. Statistically speaking, the 2-hole hitter gets the most at-bats in the game. So you want your best hitter to have the most at-bats in the game, right? Unless you have a speedster who's also can get on base and also can hit, that's your leadoff guy, but that's so far and few nowadays. So,
right.
Your leadoff guy is usually still an on-base guy, but he might be one of your better hitters too. So you want to get those guys in situations to be on base for your best hitters or be able to drive runs if you're getting some production from the 7, 8, 9-hole hitters. So it's just kind of the whole thing has changed a little bit. It's crazy how you look at, and you're absolutely right. I always hit in the 2 spot. If I didn't lead off, I could handle the bat, I could run, I could do all those things. And that's typically where I hit. And then, like you said, you have your all-around hitter 3 and your power hitter 4 and 5. So yeah, it's just around the league now. It's about getting your better hitters and guys that get on base more opportunities to do those things. And statistically speaking, and the numbers have said that it's usually in the 2-hole. So that's where they're at. You see Judge hitting in the 2-hole a lot. You see a lot of these good hitters hitting in the 2 spot. So
there you go. I did hit in the 2 back in the day. So I'm going to say, we were ahead of the game since I was the best hitter. That's why I was hitting in the 2-hole. Coach Eric Martins, thank you so much. As always, good luck in LA, and we will talk to you again next week.
Appreciate you, Alan. Good talking to you.
On the other side, great stuff from Coach Eric Martins, as always. On the other side, let's break down what Jake Fisher had to say. Not that much of a surprise, but who and where should DeMar DeRozan go? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
Full details and disclaimers.
Progressive has great customer service, and it's easy to reach us because great and easy is the way to be. Like salads, great for you, and so easy you can put any group of veggies in a bowl and it's a salad. A full carrot with a head of cabbage, weird, but still a salad. 1 radish and a couple of green beans, also a salad. 14 blueberries, half an onion, and a sunchoke. Odd, yes, but an odd salad. So contact Progressive's customer service by phone, app, or online. It's great and easy, just like salad. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Thanks again to Coach Eric Martins. Huge series down there in LA, where that is his home. Okay, that's actually his home. All right, he's from East LA. We can say that. We can say not for Sacramento. All right, I guess we're playing. Yeah, A's Dodgers. It's just a home rivalry out there. All right, I'll leave it alone. 916-339-1140. This came out right before we hopped on with Coach Eric Martin, so we want to follow up on it. And we have a couple notes as far as DeMar DeRozan is concerned that we want to break down as well. This is from Jake Fisher. The focus, here's the quote, the focus in California, in the California capital, shifts now to what sort of dealing we could see from the Kings' new regime. There has been no shortage of rumbles since the hiring of Scott Perry as general manager that Sacramento is expected to gauge the trade market for veteran swingman DeMar DeRozan. And so is he staying home if he goes to LA? Is he going to go home twice?
Is he going to go home and then back to home, but then back to Toronto, which is his other home?
Yeah.
But then it's not home because of Drake.
It is, yeah. I don't know. Drake will apologize, I'm sure. And I think what's being left out here is that this will be mutual. This is not a situation where it's all about the Kings. Oh, DeMar is not good enough for us or anything like that. I don't believe that at all. This is it's going to get out eventually. I would say that, okay, cool. Both of us are realizing that this thing isn't really going to work out. Timeline's not really fitting. And honestly, less about timelines and more about the fit. The fit's not really fitting. Let's see what we can do. And with that being said, I was going back and forth with somebody on social media, or a couple people on social media, but Professor Oak, who writes for the Kings Herald, he said, see a lot of DeRozan trades with him going to playoff teams, and I just don't see it. He's probably too heavy-handed for a good team to be willing to change their formula. Better chance, I think, for one of these lotto teams to want to accelerate their rebuilds. And he did a mock trade, and it was the Kings getting Grant Williams, Josh Okogie, and Mark Williams, and the Hornets are getting DeMar DeRozan and Jonas Valanciunas. Now, I would initially argue in that deal, and we've seen this before, the Hornets would say, yeah, you're taking shots away from Brandon Miller, right? We stink. So, and we've seen this with Isaiah Thomas, the OG pizza guy. Isaiah Thomas, we saw this with Jeremy Lin.
I'm a pizza guy.
We saw this with Jeremy Lin. It's not necessarily always about whether these dudes, and these dudes weren't getting paid $24 million, by the way. But it's not necessarily about these dudes not being good enough. It's also about, sorry, we're not doing anything, right? Isaiah Thomas, a couple years ago, he ended up going to the Suns. There were 7 teams Isaiah Thomas could have played for. But you're not going to take shots away from our young players when we stink anyway. So I don't know why they would pay DeMar DeRozan $24 million to take shots away from their young talent. I don't see the thought process there.
So think about the situation that DeRozan joined last year.
Real quick. Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, and then you went up and got this guy. It was a reach to Jean Salon. I need that brother to take as many shots as possible because I need to figure out whether he stinks or not.
Or I can just give up on him now and acknowledge these things.
Or that, which I don't think they want to do. So, every team you look at, I don't know, every lottery team you look at, throw them on the Wizards. Maybe you could, I guess, no, but you're paying Jordan Poole a lot of money.
But that's what sounds good for the Kings, right? Is dumping him on a tanking team that wants to try and be good instead of tanking, which is why the Toronto one actually makes sense because they're not going to the bottom of the lottery. They're trying to go up.
Right.
Think Chicago makes sense. Obviously, he's been there before, but it's like Chicago wants to go up.
It's a team that's trying to get out. It's less about a lottery team and more about a team that's trying to get out of purgatory and hopefully accelerate the purgatory process.
It's a team that's trying to jump up one tier, right? DeRozan's not going to be a life-changing acquisition for anyone.
And that's why I brought up the Magic before.
Yes. And the Magic, shout out to our guy, Matt George. He did the DeRozan trade situations last week, and he brought up the Magic as a good one, which is, you know,
I brought him up.
Well, yeah, but
I'm just
you know,
it's Matt George.
Sure, he did the KCP for DeRozan swap, which would be a loss for the Kings, but again, there's again the trade candidate you're looking for is a team that is struggling on offense, but is also trying to make a leap to whatever the next tier is. It's a step along the way, right? Think about the situation DeRozan entered when he got to Sacramento, right? It was a team needing an offensive boost, trying to make that leap from play in to play off. Who's the team that's trying to make that leap from play in to play off, specifically in the Eastern Conference, I would say right now?
Well, it's the Heat, but I don't think he would go to the Heat because the Heat don't want to give anything up. And the Heat they're trying to get Kevin Durant. Let's just keep it 1,000.
Yeah, the Heat are going to try and get Kevin Durant, and they're going to try and get Giannis. And if they strike out, they might take a flyer on DeRozan because it's a 1-year deal.
As far as Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is concerned, I think the reason I'd be interested is because it would be the reverse Kevin Huerter. Because I'm looking at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 3 points less than his career average, 1 less rebound, same amount of assists, 2 percentage points worse from three-point line. Basically, he had a stinker of a season, and I would maybe take the chance on, okay, instead of going to get Malik Beasley, who just had the best season of his career and probably won't do that again, let's go get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who just had one of the worst seasons of his career, and assume that he's not going to be that bad again. That's what I'm doing. I'm going reverse psychology with the Sacramento Kings at this point.
And he plays defense.
Even
though it's another 2-guard. Just all 2 guards.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, this is crazy. Besides his rookie season, this was the worst, this was the lowest amount of points he ever scored in his career, besides his rookie season.
Yeah, and he had some bad years in Detroit, too.
And then when the Laker fans all just hated him, that's when he was averaging 9. But he didn't even get to 9 this season, which means he's due.
He was the original Clutch is getting this guy paid guy. Like, he was one of the OG Clutch clients, and they just kept cashing him out. It was like, why are the Lakers giving him 1-year giant contracts?
So there are definitely names out there that I think could interest the Kings, and I think there are teams out there that could interest DeMar DeRozan. I don't see that as a straight-up tanking team because I don't think that Charlotte Hornets deal does anything for Charlotte besides take shots away from their young talent.
No, because you have to find a team that wants to be good or wants to get a tier higher, right? There's no situation where a team acquires only DeMar DeRozan and they're making this giant leap, right? In the Orlando situation you just talked about, it's DeMar DeRozan plus Paolo making a superstar leap that's going to get Orlando where they want to go. Or in Detroit, which is the one that I've been saying is the fit that makes the most sense, it's DeMar DeRozan on offense and Cade Cunningham making a leap to superstardom so that DeRozan can be a number 3 with a number 1 who is at a De'Aaron Fox level or better.
Time to move on from DeMar DeRozan. Where would you send him? We discuss the best fits for DeMar DeRozan if it's not in Sacramento. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. Try the TrackMan experience, the very best technology to fit your metalwoods and irons. The new cutting-edge putter fitting studio with its $30,000 worth of technology is ready for your fitting. Hagen Oaks will help you find the best putter for your game. Hagen Oaks offers more technology, more choices, and more service. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531, 808-2531 for more.
Some big news. Iran is threatening to wipe Israel off the map. and destroy America. Now, UN inspectors say Iran is close to getting nuclear weapons, just weeks away. But President Trump vows he won't let them. He's even moved 2 aircraft carriers to the area. This is a big story, and Newsmax's Rob Finnerty is covering it all this week and exposing the real threat. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight for Rob's series Stop Iran and find out Trump's secret plan to fix this. Watch Finnerty on Newsmax on all major cable systems. President Trump says he watches Newsmax all the time. You should too. So download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone and sign up for Newsmax Plus to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax because it's real news for real people.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kent Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kent Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sacktown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman. Cole Wetzel. Plus Billy Currington, Nate Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
Carmichael Dave here for my good friends at American Energy. As a native Sacramentan, I can tell you, not that you need to know, that it might be nice right now, but turn the corner and oh my God, it's so hot. Yeah, you know, summer is coming. And my friends at American Energy want to make sure you are dialed with your AC unit. So how about this half off tune-up right now? It's a special going on, just $24.50 to get your air conditioner tuned up. A free diagnostic. And oh, by the way, if you need a new AC unit, up to $3,500 in rebates on qualifying system installations. That's right. They've been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Here's the song.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
DeMar DeRozan, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And it wasn't really that good of a time.
It was a time.
It was a time to be alive. And Jake Fisher is reporting a lot of what we all already knew. And I guess I should say that we assumed, as far as the Kings preparing to move on from DeMar DeRozan. And I would say, again, just to continue that conversation, DeMar DeRozan prepared to move on from the Kings. Because I don't think this is a, whoa, we don't need you. I think this is a, hey, I don't think this relationship is going to be mutually beneficial. The focus in the California Capitol shifts now to what sort of dealing we could see from the Kings' new regime. There's been no shortage of rumbles since the hiring of Scott Perry as the general manager. The Sacramento Kings are expected to gauge the trade target for veteran swingman DeMar DeRozan. And look, part of this too, and I do wish things looked better early with DeMar DeRozan, but he is going to have to look in the mirror a little bit and kind of decide what is it exactly that he wants out of the end of his career. Because, and it's a tough one because he can still score at a high level, but you almost have to understand that you're not going to be able to do that if you want to win, right? I mean, Russell Westbrook, and there's a crazy report out on Russell Westbrook, by the way, about arguments. And I don't know, Russell Westbrook got some of the worst PR. Like the rat squirrel thing that I always joke about. Rats are just squirrels with tails that aren't fluffy and bad PR. Russell Westbrook has terrible PR, and we'll get to that story because it's pretty nuts. But
I see what you did there.
But when you look at DeMar DeRozan and how elder statesmen in the league have made decisions and said, okay, I got to change who I am if I want to keep doing this. Russell Westbrook didn't want to come off the bench. Carmelo Anthony, one of my favorite drops ever. They said I got to come off the bench, P. But he eventually did come off the bench because he wanted to stay in the league. DeMar DeRozan is interesting because he can score at a starter level, but if he wants to win, he's going to end up on a team that doesn't need him to score at that level. And I would argue that I'd rather come off as a six man and be able to just run whatever I need to run versus, okay, I'm still a starter, but I'm the third option because it's, Kawhi, Hart, whatever the case may be. So DeMar DeRozan has to decide what is it that he wants out of these last couple years of his career, and he has to make sure that aligns with whatever team that is willing to trade for him. I think this will be one of those kind of hybrid, hey, we've had conversation and this is going to work out for the team that we're trading you to. Conversations have been had. We're all on the same page. It's not going to be, DeMar is going to a team and he thinks that he's going to be this, but they actually need him to be that. I don't think that's going to be the case. So when I look at the options, somebody just responded to me on Twitter and they said the Clippers found their formula. And the formula is essentially what the Sixers tried to do with Joel Embiid, but that brother can't even play half the season. But basically, Kawhi is a spot starter. He don't care about accolades anymore. The problem is, are you going to get another all-star season from James Harden? But you spot start Kawhi Leonard throughout the season. And by the way, you had a crazy season from Zubats and Norman Powell. But if those guys are going to be those guys, which is a question in itself, but let's assume that they will, you add DeMar DeRozan, you let DeMar DeRozan, who's a bit of an Iron Man, help carry you throughout the regular season, and then when the playoffs come and Kawhi arrives, then you rock and roll in a different way. So somebody said that to me on social media. I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. I think that what we've seen is, okay, so DeMar DeRozan is going to be DeMar DeRozan, and then the playoffs are going to come, and you're going to tell him, hey, you can't be DeMar DeRozan anymore. And they're going to have to figure that out on the fly during the playoffs. That's the issue there.
For a team that is expected to be a contender.
And you now have DeMar DeRozan and James Harden on the same team defensively, which is also a bit of a problem. James Harden's gotten better defensively.
Yeah, I just don't think the Clippers are in the DeMar DeRozan game at this point, but I understand why people are. It's also hard to make the trade work for DeMar DeRozan to the Clippers without having to give up a lot of their defense. So I just not even thinking the Clippers are even in this game because, like we talked about before, it's a team trying to make a leap. I don't think the Clippers are trying to make a quote unquote leap because they feel like they're right there. They already have their two superstars.
Sure, but they just did not get it done.
Sure, but they also dramatically outperformed expectations this year.
Yeah, Clippers are a weird one, man.
Yeah, I just don't. As much as DeMar DeRozan wants to go to Los Angeles, and
he's already home, so
sure, as much as he'd like to get closer to home,
yes,
then the home he's
less
already
traffic, or not a plane.
Sure. As much as DeMar DeRozan wants to, just neither team's situation makes sense for DeMar DeRozan, which
is why he's not on that team right now.
Yes, exactly. They tried to make this work back when he was in Chicago, and obviously before Luka got there, but getting DeMar DeRozan is not the move that's going to make Luka be like, yes, I am staying here for the next 5 years because we got no. DeMar DeRozan is something you make if you're a bad team trying to get into contention, or you're a play-in team trying to make a leap to the playoffs. I say this fully acknowledging that's exactly what happened last year. DeMar DeRozan was a free agent. Anyone in the league could have signed and traded for him, and the team that did was a play-in team trying to make the leap to the playoffs. That's probably the same fit that we're trying to find for DeMar DeRozan going into next season. A play-in team trying to get to the playoffs, an 11 or 12 seed trying to get to the play-in, or, Detroit, which is its own unique situation because of just how dramatic of a leap they took this season.
I'm just looking here at the stand. Yeah, the Wizards. I feel like the Wizards, honestly, just feels like the Wizards are a smidge better than they played. I know they're not, but I don't know that they're completely out of play. I'm being dead serious.
Sure, I mean they have 3 versions of DeRozan on their team already.
It's not I feel like they could at least be. Again, that's not what DeMar DeRozan wants. But let's go through them here. The Wizards, okay, not good enough for DeRozan, and obviously I'm just assuming here.
Unless we want Middleton.
I haven't seen that brother play in feels like 3 years.
I mean, that's the only thing is just they have to pay someone. So would you rather just pay $10 million less?
Don't they got Marcus Smart? Don't they got Marcus Smart?
Well, he's a free agent.
Oh, might sign Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through them. The Wizards, and I'm just hang with me here. I'm just saying how it would or wouldn't work. Wizards, I would assume not good enough for DeMar. Hornets, I would assume not good enough for DeMar. Sixers are interesting. They are. They have to figure out. We're keeping an eye on, and I just saw Paul George is on the pivot announcing that he will get back to podcasting because I know everybody like me was on the edge of their seats. But the Sixers are interesting. They need to pick a timeline, and they could pick a timeline that makes sense for DeMar DeRozan. They got Kelly Oubre blowing kisses out there somewhere.
Yeah, the zombie Sixers finally getting the timelines right.
So I don't think the Sixers are completely out of it, right? You talk about, hey, Paul George, and you're paying him a ton of money. And what if he goes down? The Sixers need guys to just get through the regular season. DeMar DeRozan's your guy.
Are the Sixers just Eastern Conference Mavericks?
They were worse.
I'm saying okay, so you're saying they're in a worse spot.
They're in a worse spot, but they are in the East. And if Joel Embiid's knees are not completely dust, I could see DeMar. Hey, Philly, it's a cool city. You got Jared McKay. You got the young talent. You do have the number 3 pick, right? So you can maybe, like I said, they got to decide timelines there. You have obviously Tyrese Maxey, who. I don't think he's the odd man out, but between Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey, I don't know what happens there. Then you got Paul George and his podcasting. I think the Sixers could be a sleeper. I don't know, could the Kings, Kelly Oubre, why does Kelly Oubre have Sacramento written all over him at this point in his career?
He's been pretty much everywhere else.
At this point in his career.
It would be weird. Just the whole thing. And by the way, that it wouldn't work just straight up. They have to.
Jared McCain.
That's something. Kelly Oubre also has a player option. He might decline, so he might be a free agent.
Tyrese, bring my boy. If I get a team with Tyrese Maxey, okay, Bobby Portis, all right, Dalton Connect, now we're actually cooking.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey, who they're gonna offer the Bucks Maxey for Giannis, and you're like, you know what they're gonna settle on? Just shipping Maxey out of town.
Every time I bring up Tyrese Maxey, everybody says he's overrated anyway.
Sure, but he's still better than DeRozan.
Yeah, you got to throw in something else.
And
would you trade? Hold on. Would you trade DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk for Tyrese Maxey?
I would, but the Sixers wouldn't.
I'm throwing a second rounder. I'm always ready to just throw in a second rounder. All right.
It's probably going to have to be Keegan in your theoretical situation.
No. 76ers, I think, is in play. Nets could be, if they get Giannis, I think they could be, let's add some scoring. So Nets aren't cooked yet.
We just need them to get Giannis.
Yeah, get Giannis and be a team.
By the way, screwed last night by the lottery.
Yeah.
They fell from 5 to 7.
Yeah, there you go. Raptors, I think, are in play. Bulls, no. Hawks, no. I don't think so.
Only if it's we talked about it yesterday, only if it's packaging Trae Young to
so I guess
a larger deal.
And then it's why do the Hawks want the 3-team thing.
Yeah.
Let's stay away from the 3 teams for now. We have Chris Watkins saying Miami on the Sack Chat. Got the Heat right there. I would agree.
Yes, I think that's their plan D.
Yes.
If they don't get Giannis, they don't get Kevin Durant, and they strike out in free agency, then yes, I think they would pivot to DeMar DeRozan for Wiggins.
Magic, yes. Pistons, I don't know that they would want him, but I think it's possible.
I think
you lose Malik Beasley. Again, this goes back to, can you, again, this, and I sounded like the Kings right here. They lost Malik Beasley, so let's add another score. Two completely different scores. If DeMar DeRozan plays like the way he played with the Kings, he cannot play on the Pistons.
The Pistons deal is as simple as, do they want DeMar DeRozan over Tobias Harris? Because that's the only way the trade can happen, is just flipping those two.
And I don't think I do, because they need more scoring, but that's the problem with DeMar DeRozan. Yeah, we need more scoring, but we don't need that much, and we need more defense than what you can give us.
Yeah, that's again, the trade-off they have to make. Because the reason why the Tobias one makes the most sense is that those two signed the exact same contract last offseason. It was 2 years, $50 million. So both of them, and I know DeRozan has the third year that's $10 million or whatever, but the one thing that I don't want to skip past, which you brought up with the Wizards, is the Wizards deal makes sense only in a world where DeRozan has decided, or it gets to a point where it's like, hey, Miami's out, Detroit's out, no one wants him as a $25 million third option. That one only makes sense if it's like, hey, we're going to flip you for Middleton, and the Wizards are just going to buy him out of his contract. And then he can go sign a vet minimum or a $7 million mid-level exception with another team. That's the only way I think the Wizards one makes sense. It's just like, hey, we'll take your $35 million Chris Middleton contract for 1 year.
Yeah.
You can take our $35 million owed to DeRozan and just buy him out if you want.
The Bucks, I just don't know. I'm going to say no on the Bucks, no on the Pacers, no on the Knicks, no on the Celtics, no on the Cavs.
Yeah, I think it's...
So you got about 5 teams in the East, 5 to 6, and we'll get to the West when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-646-5959. That's 800-646-5959. 800-646-5959.
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't want to see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now. No more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
There are so many benefits of working with the Overhead Door Company of Sacramento. Now, we chose them to get our new garage doors, and we're so thrilled that we did. They look absolutely amazing. Jason Ross here. And for us, well, we just flat out needed new garage doors. But maybe you do as well, or maybe it's just repairs to your existing doors. Well, the Overhead Door Company of Sacramento can help you with that. It is also a great time of year because this is when homes go on the market. So is yours ready? Well, one thing, don't forget about that garage door, because a new garage door can increase the value of your home. First off, with Curb Appeal, a new modern or stylish garage door can improve the overall appearance of your house. Also, the return on investment. It is one of the most cost-effective upgrades to increase your home value. You can see for yourself. Just visit the showroom off Franklin Boulevard and ask about the Sacktown Sports Special. Overhead Door Company of Sacramento, the genuine, the original overhead door. Always look for the red ribbon logo.
Welcome to the Tap House Restaurant at Bartley Kavanaugh Golf Course. With an array of local craft brews from a selection of 20 taps, the Tap House menu boasts freshly made sandwiches, crisp salads, and a variety of specialty entrees. The Tap House Restaurant at Bartley Kavanaugh is the perfect spot to share good food, whether you play golf or not, especially during happy hour from 3 to 6 daily. Drop by the Tap House Restaurant for scenic views, exquisite food, and a hearty welcome. the Tap House Restaurant at Barley Cavanaugh Golf Course.
Switch to Comcast Business Mobile and save hundreds a year on your wireless bill. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Restrictions apply. Comcast Business Internet required. Compares 2 unlimited intro lines and lowest price 5G plans of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabytes of usage. Data thresholds may vary.
Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
About 5 to 6 Eastern Conference teams we could see DeMar DeRozan joining. Very high-level stuff as Kyle is playing more Kendrick. Let's get to the Western Conference teams, see what makes sense there. This is all coming off a report from Jake Fisher that the Kings are expected to gauge interest on the DeMar DeRozan trade market, which, I don't know what makes things official nowadays with social media and all the different platforms and mediums, but it's a report that we all kind of knew was already going to come out. So let's get to the Western Conference. I feel like the Western Conference might be honestly quicker than the Eastern Conference because there's just so much more hope in the Eastern Conference. Going back to the conversation about why are there conferences when so many stars are in the West now, and hey, you got the warmer states and things like that. So that all kind of is a part of it. So let's get to the Western Conference. As we were at about 6, I think we convinced ourselves of in the East.
Yes, for different reasons, about 5 or 6.
5 or 6. So let's start in the West now. Jazz, DeMar says no.
Unless it's a buyout situation. Again,
let's just go with straight up, I'm wearing the jersey.
Yes.
I'm wearing the jersey.
Unless he has no say in the matter, he's not going to Utah.
I'm not thinking he's going to Utah. I'm not going to be there.
If Utah could, they would probably flip DeRozan for John Collins.
Without a doubt. And and Kyle Draper would just levitate into the heavens if that happened. Pelicans.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, I mean,
DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum swap.
Yeah,
it's just saying that DeRozan's a better player than those guys.
So you got the Pelicans. I would say yes. I think that DeMar would take some convincing, but they do have talent. They do have talent, and they've had some bad luck. But DeJounte Murray, guys like that, they would be in the conversation if they can just all stay on the court, which is easier said than done. You got the Herb Jones is coming back, Trey Murphy, another leap there.
Just get a different vibe on the 2 guard.
Yes. Maybe New Jerseys. They got to do something out there. So Pelicans, I would say yes. A mini homecoming with the Spurs, I don't see that. You got Harrison. Yeah, I just don't see that. Blazers.
No.
I don't believe so.
Unless it's going to be for Simons, which if I'm the Blazers, just ride it out with Simons.
The Suns are interesting to me. The Suns are a team to watch once they move on from Kevin Durant. And they're depending, because they might get a lot of future stuff for Kevin Durant more so than, and I know Kevin Durant has a crazy contract, but once Kevin Durant's moved, I think the Suns could be in the conversation.
I do want to go back real quick. The Blazers only in the situation where they want to just dump Jeremy Grant's contract, which means only a situation where the Kings want to pay 4 years, $120 million for Jeremy Grant.
And we're back to Jeremy Grant convos.
Do we want
to
pay him for 4 years?
It's about time. I think. Hey, man, if you can't get a damn first round pick and you're the only team that missed the playoffs, don't have a pick in the first round, well, then you got to pay Jeremy Grant $300 million in order to be a respectable team.
It's only an astronomical 120 over 4 years.
So I got the Suns. I'm not putting the Blazers because they already have timeline issues. So I'm not going to put the Blazers. We got the Pelicans. We got the Suns. Mavericks.
No.
He'd be ring chasing off the bench, but I don't think the Mavericks need that.
We're going to take Klay Thompson? What are we doing?
If Klay Thompson came to Sacramento, Kyle, you'd have to buy a jersey. You'd have to.
Oh, I would do more than that.
You'd have to, just for all the times that you talk bad about that Hall of Famer.
I would get a custom jersey that says bum on the back of it.
Grizzlies, I don't think it's out of the question. I really don't.
I just don't know what direction they want to go. If they're going to trade Desmond Bane, I don't know how many takers they're going to have. But again, that's the Kings going into the mode of we're just going to take someone else's bad contract.
Yeah, let's just take whoever we need to. Warriors, no. Timberwolves, no. Clippers,
no.
I'm not completely done on the Clippers.
It's just not going to happen, man.
I'm putting one of the LA teams because I have to. And so it's either your choice. It's either the Lakers or the Clippers. But one of them's getting on this list.
I would go with the Lakers then.
Okay.
At least the Lakers can do the Rui Hachimura and Maxi Kleba.
Yes. And Dalton Connect while you're at it.
Not that one.
Okay.
Just Rui and Maxi Kleba.
Nuggets, no. Or I don't think so. Rockets, no. Thunder, no. Because the Rockets, to me, Rockets are another funny one because they need offense, right? But would you rather, let's say they strike out on Kevin Durant, okay? And Giannis. Would you rather, if you're the Rockets, you struck out on Giannis, you struck out on Kevin Durant, now you're saying, hey, we're not interested in Devin Booker. Do you look at a cheaper option in DeMar DeRozan, or do you think at this point, since we struck out, we're just going to see if Amen Thompson and Jalen Green can be better on offense?
Yeah, the only way that trade works at that point is just, do they want the offense of DeMar DeRozan and give up the defense of Dillon Brooks?
So I count here.
Which, by the way, Dillon Brooks on the Kings would be just a day.
Yeah. I think he would wear it well, to be honest with you. I count about 4. You could convince 5 teams. So in total, I have 10 teams, call it between 10 teams that would at least be in the conversation. And maybe there's a team that we're completely missing, right? So I got about 10 teams that we can convince ourselves of, so that could be anywhere really from about 7 to 12 based on some teams that we're missing and or some teams that actually aren't as interested as we think.
All right, so I'm kind of just making the list here. So we went Detroit, Washington, Toronto, Brooklyn, again, that we could convince ourselves under the right situation. We had Philadelphia, even though I don't understand how you were going to make that one happen.
Just don't worry about it.
We had Orlando, we had Miami, we had the Pelicans. Who else was there? You said Lakers.
Pelicans, Lakers, Suns.
Yeah, if we can convince Bradley Beal to come to Sacramento.
Oh, my goodness. And I think that was it.
I mean, you threw out the Grizzlies.
Oh, yes, Grizzlies as well. So 9 or 10.
Yeah, so I've got 11 here. 11, just could be on a weird situation possible.
And there's some teams that, a lot can change throughout these next couple months here. Based on who goes where Giannis goes, things like that. But I think the Kings will have options. This is a huge deal for Scott Perry. This is going to be the first big, I would assume, the first big move that Scott Perry makes. And I think a lot of Kings fans are still wounded, especially from last night with not having a draft pick. And also knowing, I saw people saying, see, if the Kings had just fought harder on that De'Aaron deal, they could have had a top 4 pick last night. The Spurs were not giving that up. You don't got to do that to yourself.
No.
Don't do that to yourself.
What? We could have at least talked about it.
Yeah.
And maybe if he had a couple years left on that deal. So now that we've whittled down the list real quick, I just want to spend our last few minutes here of the segment just doing a little version of matching DeMar DeRozan up to a team that works for him.
Okay.
We've got the teams that under some circumstance would be interested. Let's see if we can whittle this down a little bit more here. Little match game going on. So I came up with some criteria. Do you think DeMar DeRozan wants to go to a West team, an East team, or he would be indifferent?
I honestly feel like he'd be indifferent.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it at indifferent for now. We can whittle it down later.
Obviously, the obvious pick is the West, but he's already home, so.
All right, next up, playoff team, rebuilding, play-in team, or indifferent?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be A playoff team.
So he would rather be on a contender right now if he had to pick.
Yes.
Okay. We'll whittle that down here. So let's get rid of them. I'll leave them for now. Boop. All right. We are down to 6 teams. Does he join a team with a top 15 defense right now? Yes, no, or it won't matter.
I don't think he cares, but I think the team would care, so I'll say yes.
Okay, so we have to have a team who already has a top 15 defense. So we can get rid of 3 more. All right. Does this team already have a number 1 or a number 2 better than DeMar DeRozan?
Yes.
Okay, we'll check that box. All right. And we can get rid of that team. And then we have, last one. Any other criteria you would like to add that DeMar DeRozan you think he would care about?
No.
You think we've done a good job whittling it down?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so at the end of this experiment, we are left with 3 teams. We have...
The Magic's on there, I know.
The Orlando Magic, the Miami Heat, and the Detroit Pistons.
I think it's that simple. Call up Pat Riley. Say, look, brother, Jovic, Jaime Jaquez, done deal.
I don't think you're going to get that.
Done deal. People coming off the bench. What are we talking about? 2 bench players.
I think you're probably going to have to take Wiggins.
Give me Wiggins and Jovic, and I'll do it.
Let's see if it works on the old trade machine here. Let's see. Wiggins and Jovic for DeRozan is a success.
There you go. And a 2nd-round pick. I'm leaving here with something. I'm telling you that right now.
The Kings would also be $4 million short of the luxury tax.
Hey, I know who loves to hear that. 12 o'clock hour. Coming up next, we have our Kings trade target of the day. We're headed back to NOLA. But it ain't DeJounte Murray. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. In-store only. Limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
Full details and disclaimer.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140.
You're home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
The Boston Celtics are bracing for the worst around Jason Tatum and that right foot. The Celtics, since last night, have been expecting a severe injury for Tatum. That is from Shams Charania reporting on SportsCenter. So, I mean, as he's saying this, I got the video playing, and it's showing what Tatum's grabbing. It's, I'm no doctor, but it doesn't look good. He's 27, which honestly is it's not funny, but it's a coincidence because if I'm not mistaken, and I have to look this, and I'm going to look it up right now, and I joke just because, you know, once I'm 35, so I'm washed up. But if I'm not mistaken, Klay Thompson was probably right around that age.
I think he was probably a little older than that.
27. It's just you passed 25, and one of the didn't one of the Nuggets draft picks, he about 20 something, young 20s.
Let's see, Klay was 29.
Okay, Klay was 29. Dang.
I just
27.
I make the point that once you get to year 8, health stops being guaranteed.
Yeah,
Which
but
this is different because
Achilles is a different beast, though.
Well, it's different with the ACLs, Achilles, etc., because they're just like those types of situations. But once you get to year 8, that's when you got to start thinking about a player as not a sure thing anymore. And obviously Tatum, if he's out, we don't know Tatum's out for an extended period of time, but if he is out for a long time,
I mean, based on what Shams is saying, that's what it sounds like.
If it is, it's a major injury for a major superstar, younger than when we normally expect to see it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to see. I think the age, not to get too in the weeds, but yeah, it says that the year Klay did it, he was 28.
Yeah, I just did it based on his birthday.
So it's still tough, man. Either way, it's tough. But you get past 25, and you know the whole idea of, did you not stretch enough? Whatever it is, I said the same thing about Steph and the sprained hamstring. That's not a question. You weekend warriors out there that tore their Achilles like me, yeah, you can ask me that question because I got up at 8, got to the court, stretched a little bit, and then started playing. But, you know, there are a couple different theories on Achilles, not that it's not official yet, but Shams says that they are bracing for the worst. I'm sure that news is about to come out any minute now. But there are basically two theories. The one theory is, yes, if you stretch, if you take care of business, then you can more so avoid those injuries. Or I should say you injured this because you did not stretch enough. The other theory is every set of Achilles out there have a number of miles on them, and every set of miles is different. And your LeBron James miles is set at 80 years old, right? Steph Curry, guys like that. And then you have Klay Thompson. You have the young rookie from the Nuggets, guys like that, where you just doesn't make a ton of sense. So we are still hoping for the best for Jason Tatum, but it doesn't sound good as far as what Shams is talking about and discussing. All right, time for our Kings trade target of the day. If you can't beat them, join them or have them join you. That's right. It's time. I know, CJ McCollum, we're about 2 decades late, but it's time for you to come to Sacramento and stop killing us when we play you. You are a Kings killer. We've seen you take more of a role of a point guard during your time in New Orleans. He's definitely a combo guard, but if you add a CJ McCollum along with the Dennis Schroeder, somebody like that, it could definitely work. He's got 1 year and 30.7 left on his contract. Are you in? Are you out on CJ McCollum joining the Sacramento Kings? Me personally, knowing how it normally works with the Sacramento Kings, I am out on CJ McCollum. I'm out. He's going to come out here. He's going to forget how to shoot. He's only got 1 year on his deal. He's another combo guard. He's not very good on defense. I think his price isn't crazy. I don't mind his price really. But again, that 1 year, I'd have to look. And Kyle, I know you have some deals that we'll get to. And normally, based on the deals, I can be convinced or pushed off the edge the other way. But my initial thought is no on CJ McCollum.
So here's kind of the point I would make. There are people in the Kings fan base, and I hear from them many a times, whether it's text line or whatever else, who say, I don't want to trade DeMar DeRozan. Why do we have to trade DeMar DeRozan? And the idea is more so DeRozan doesn't necessarily want to be here because this is not the situation that he signed up for when he first got there. Why this trade is so interesting is that if you're someone who wants to keep DeMar DeRozan, and this is about non-basketball reasons why DeMar DeRozan might not want to be here, some basketball reasons, but more so just he joined a team that had De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown and Monty McNair, and now he's on a team with Zach LaVine, Doug Christie, and Scott Perry. Like, this is not the situation he signed up for when he first got here. But if you're someone who, from a basketball fit standpoint, likes DeMar DeRozan on the Kings, CJ McCollum is as close as you're going to get to DeMar DeRozan across the league. He shoots the three-pointer a little bit better, has some ball handling abilities. I mean, DeRozan wasn't bad at the three-point line this year.
No, he was just much better than he normally is.
Yes, but CJ McCollum's about a different style of game.
CJ McCollum is a career 39% three-point shooter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he can play. He can ball handle. I'm not going to say he can play point. He can ball handle better than DeMar DeRozan does. I don't think he's as good of a pure scorer as DeMar DeRozan is.
Unless he's playing the Kings.
But I will make this interesting point. Since CJ McCollum came into the league, which was in 2013, he is one of only 11 players in the league, the rest of whom are Hall of Famers, including DeMar DeRozan. He's one of, I think, 11 or 12 players to average 20 points per game in every season since he came into the league.
I mean, that's impressive.
For someone who's never made an all-star team, he is always giving you 21 or 22 points. And what was the thing we said about DeRozan? He's always going to give you 20 or 21 points. So
sure,
if you're looking for that same level of scoring at the price tag you're at, CJ McCollum is probably your best bet. And if you're the Pelicans, it's again, just a flavor of the month thing. It's that they want to keep DeJounte Murray. They would rather him be a ball handler and DeRozan playing off ball too.
Yeah, I would. I'll give you this. Scoring wise, it helps Sabonis. Scoring wise, it definitely helps the Kings offense because of his ability to shoot the three. You're still missing a point guard. So I guess you're now bringing in, and CJ at 33 years old, he goes 6'3". He's not great on defense. So now you're running a lineup of Dennis Schroeder, CJ McCollum, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray. I understand that these are the fringe. Every day when we do this, a trade target, they're not always going to be big fish. There's only so many big fish out there. So I understand, and you look, DeJounte Murray can't shoot the three ball, but he's more of a pure defender. He's more of a pure passer, but he's coming off an Achilles injury. So I understand why people would give me cause to pause. CJ McCollum played 56, only played nobody, which is probably high for the Pelicans because it feels like Pelicans only played about 30 games with their actual lineup. CJ McCollum played 56 games this past season. He put up 21.1 points. He was just a chucker, I mean, why not? And I say chucker, but he did shoot 44.4% from the field. 21.1 points is a little bit better than his career average at 19.6. Basically averaged the same amount of rebounds, and he's at 4.1 assists. So again, that's that range of the Colin Sextons of the world, of the Zach LaVines of the world, these guys that can handle the basketball, but they're not point guards. So like I said, 37.3% from three, 71% from the free throw, which is weird. And as far as the minutes are concerned, he played 32.7 minutes per game. Again, he's 33 years old. We'll discuss who you could move him for as far as the pieces that are leaving are concerned, but I'm not in. I'm not in on CJ McCollum. You know, could I be convinced? I mean, I guess it depends on what else you're acquiring, because my problem is you're just getting a better 3-point shooting, less ball hoggy DeMar DeRozan.
Yes, and that's kind of the point, is if you...
But even size-wise, you can't even hide him. Not that DeMar was great at the wing, but CJ is no type of a wing.
No, CJ would play... They would play more of LaVine at the 3 than they would have before, which I would also say... This is about if you like the idea of a DeMar DeRozan type player on the Kings, and DeMar DeRozan doesn't want to stay in Sacramento, this is the closest you're probably going to find. And again, I think this necessitates other moves, right? If they just bring in CJ McCollum and run it back with the team from last year, it doesn't make sense. But if you bring in a stretch 4, move Keegan to the 3 at times, now it makes a little bit more sense, because you can play Keon Ellis, Keegan, and a stretch 3 along with either LaVine or CJ McCollum or whoever your backup point guard is going to be. I don't think that trading for CJ McCollum doesn't make sense if you aren't going to make other moves.
Let's discuss how the Kings could pull it off and whether or not that gets you back on the train if you're off it, and off the train if you're on it. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
Full details and disclaimers.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Father's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for dads and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Report out on DeMar DeRozan. Could he be on the move to New Orleans? In return, the Kings would get one CJ McCollum, who is our trade target of the day. Again, if you have been rocking with us, thanks for rocking with us. If you haven't been, or haven't since the offseason kind of has taken full swing, we are doing trade targets, different trade candidates, not every day, but pretty often, a couple times a week. And today, sometimes they're big fish, sometimes they are smaller fish. And today we are looking at CJ McCollum, who we know, I mean, he'd be a Hall of Famer if he only played against the Kings. It's just a matter of whether we think he will be able to play the way he plays against the Kings with a Kings uniform on.
He's now the best player in the NBA who never made an all-star team, right? It's either him or Jamal Murray at this point.
It's probably, people are going to say Jamal Murray.
Yeah, it was Mike Conley for the longest time, and then he finally got one in Utah. But I feel like it's either CJ or Jamal Murray is the best NBA player without an all-star.
So, Kyle, I know as far as the deals are concerned, DeMar DeRozan for CJ McCollum, that money is pretty darn similar.
Yeah.
So that would work.
It would work. The Kings would take on 1 year and $30.7 million, basically. And the Pelicans would take on 2 years, 35 with it's a team option for next year for DeRozan. So the Pelicans can decide what they want to do with that. But essentially one guaranteed season for DeMar DeRozan. So both are on potential expiring contracts. I just say potential because the DeRozan one is weird with the team option.
Yeah, and of course, because of all the injuries, you look at the fanspo for the Pelicans, and there's just so many random deals that they had to make throughout the course of the season. The only thing that I was looking at is it crazy to maybe find a way to, and I'm not trying to get smaller per se, but I mean, is a Jose Alvarado? I mean, do you think about that? Can you even make that work? I'm looking at Jose Alvarado, Kelly Olynyk. I just feel like, we're really entrusting Scott Perry to make separate deals because CJ McCollum wouldn't be enough. Is there anything maybe you can leave that deal with and get a little bit extra something just in case you aren't able to make another deal?
For any other player you get, you're going to have to give up a player of equal value on the Kings, right? So if you get Alvarado, you have to give up Devin Carter.
Right, which I'm not doing that.
If you give up Herb Jones, you have to give up Keegan, right? So any other deal you're going to make, you have to give up something of equal value in return, which is why I just made it simple. CJ McCollum for DeMar DeRozan swap.
So even the Herb Jones, if he, and obviously, ifs you can throw ifs onto anything, but Herb Jones, I think if he didn't get injured, it would be definitely a spicier question as far as him or Keegan Murray, because a lot of people are high on Herb Jones. It was Herb Jones and Trey Murphy essentially the reason they said, yeah, Brandon Ingram, the Colin Cowherd when he's talking about Ben Simmons, LeBron, we're good here. We Ben Simmons, the league, we're in a good place. We're good here. That's what the Pelicans said to Brandon Ingram. Hey, Brandon, we got Trey Murphy, we got Herb Jones. We're good here.
They literally gave Trey Murphy the contract they would have offered Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. So, obviously Trey Murphy, I would do that. I would do that deal in a minute, but that money, now that he's on that deal, doesn't work. And the Pelicans are not moving Trey Murphy. Herb Jones is a conversation, but I haven't seen Herb Jones play in a year, and I'm not going to disrespect Keegan Murray like that. So I guess we're stuck with just a straight up. And if you can't cook up anything better, Kyle, I'm still a no.
It's the only, unless you get draft pick, but I don't know if the Pelicans, I think the Pelicans are fine going back with CJ McCollum.
Right. The Pelicans have 1 more year with CJ. They're not in a rush to do anything.
This is just a flavor of the month type of trade, right? It's the Pelicans. And by the way, with reasons that I think you can make a case for, them saying, if we're bringing back DeJounte Murray, which they are, and we're getting Herb Jones and Trey Murphy back, and then we have Yves Missi, and we have, backup guards aplenty, then DeRozan as a fit makes more sense than CJ McCollum. They're both aged, they're both guards in their 30s who are making $25 to $30 million, but you could make an argument for DeRozan's a better player, and DeRozan gives them something CJ McCollum does not, if the Pelicans wanted to make that case.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think we could go back and forth on it. You get a little bit more ball handling from CJ McCollum, and you get more. I just think spacing is really important now. And I watched DeMar DeRozan a lot, and here's the other thing. DeJounte Murray can't shoot. Right? I think if you're the Pelicans, the reason you probably say no is because you didn't get to see DeJounte Murray with CJ McCollum, with Zion Williamson, with Herb Jones. You were so injured. I feel as if similar to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies this offseason, if I'm not mistaken, or this past offseason, didn't make any moves because they were so injured they didn't know what the issues were. Right? The Pelicans, they still moved Brandon Ingram, but after moving Brandon Ingram, they're looking around thinking, okay, we have to at least watch this team play before we're going to move on from CJ, who's used to the area. He's younger. He's only on 1 year deal. And if we lose CJ, we can find, that money's off the books and we can find it somewhere else. So I really, maybe I'm low. I'm clearly lower on DeMar DeRozan than you are. But when it comes to CJ McCollum and more so about what's valued in the NBA. And I just think that playmaking and 3-point shooting is just more valued than high volume scoring. So I don't even think the Pelicans say yes to this.
Yeah, I think it's just the point of that DeMar DeRozan is essentially a better player than CJ McCollum, which again, I think it's fraction. They're basically the same player in terms of value. I think it's just making the argument that like, hey, you're getting a slightly better player out of the whole transaction, and maybe that slight they're also saving money. So, if they have other moves they want to make, they're also saving like $6 million. So if there's other moves they want to make, maybe that gives them financial flexibility. But other than that, yeah, like I said, it's just a flavor of the month type of deal. It's what do they think and what do the Kings think would work best with the rosters they've constructed.
A couple of texts to get to. 916 says, why has CJ McCollum held such a grudge over Sacramento for not drafting him? They probably did him a favor. That's pretty good. You talk about grudges. Gotta be honest. There was this is going back in the time machine now, but there was a company. They were, when you're young and you're trying to find different events, and they also handled if you wanted to create your own event. So even if that event was free, it's just a way for you to RSVP and say, hey, come to Allen's birthday bash, and you'd put it on this company or on the website. And this is years ago. So, Evite, whatever it is, wasn't Evite, but similar to that, but it could be for actual events, a comedy show, anything like that, or you could use it for personal events. And my then girlfriend at the time, now wife, she got through the first round. She got through the second round. She got through the third round. During the third round, this is in the height of kind of the tech boom in San Francisco when people were just giving stuff away. They gave her a branded Nalgene bottle, and they gave her all this stuff, and we're thinking this is a done deal. This is great. She did not get the job after 3-4 rounds. That stupid Nalgene bottle sat in our apartment for, I don't know, about 2 months, and I threw that thing away. And I don't know if I ever used that website again, in part because other things, started to come to fruition. But I had such a grudge over, and it wasn't even my job. And places that haven't hired me, I've held grudges about as well. Especially if you get that far. CJ McCollum, there were conversations. You get through that first round, you get through that second round. I got a new job now. But every time I think about that company that did not hire her, I think bleep them. I really do.
It is also reported that Pete D'Alessandro, who was the GM at the time, promised CJ that they were going to pick him at number 7.
That's what I'm saying. I had a buddy. He was about to sign with a new company. They said they gave him a verbal offer. They pulled the verbal offer. And, hey, we're actually not hiring. We're at this role, which I don't know how companies even get that far, but we're actually going to move on from this role. And we're not hiring you or anybody. We'll bleep them.
I've got a story for you from this place where something like that happened.
Okay, well, you're going to keep that one zipped up. We'll bleep them.
Tell you during the break. By the way, just to close a loop on it before we move on, I looked up the Ringer player rankings. Do you want to know the gap between DeMar DeRozan and CJ McCollum in terms of best players in the league, according to them?
What, two spots?
A little larger than that.
6?
Little larger.
7.
Come on, you got to give me a little more than 7, Allen.
What, 9?
A little more.
10?
Little more.
15?
A little lower.
Just tell me what it is.
13 spots. So they say DeRozan is the 60th best player in the NBA right now, and CJ McCollum is the 73rd best player in the NBA. So you're getting a minimal upgrade for a fraction of less of the cost if you're the Pelicans.
That's interesting.
Again, just flavor of the month. Do they think a slight upgrade of DeRozan over McCollum works. And if you're the Kings, it makes sense because you could end up with not CJ McCollum in exchange for DeMar DeRozan.
The playoffs started out so hot. How did we go from one of the best first rounds I've ever seen to maybe one of the worst playoff endings we're going to see? Let's list off everyone that struggled and everyone that's out and try to figure out what in the world this ring is going to be worth. Playoff talk when we return now on Sacktown Sports.
Stay up to date on Sacramento sports. Join the Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter. Visit SacktownSports.com.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, the A's call-up of last year's first-round pick and fourth selection overall in the draft, Nick Kurtz, is not surprising, but his rise through the A's minor league system is pretty astounding. Kurtz has played in only 32 minor league games, but the numbers are eye-popping. A .336 average, 11 home runs, and 37 RBIs. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit KHTK.com.
At Big O Tires, now through Memorial Day, get $80 to $120 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Cooper, Nexen, Nitto, or Sumitomo brand tires with installation purchase. Disposal fees extra, not good with other offers. See your locally owned Big O Tire store for pricing.
Meta Chevy sends you $8,000 off MSRP on new 2025 half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates. Year-end savings on now with $8,000 off new Silverados at MetaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details. Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman. Plus Billy Currington, Nate Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
Carmichael Dave here for my good friends at American Energy. As a native Sacramentan, I can tell you, not that you need to know, that it might be nice right now, but turn the corner and oh my God, it's so hot. Yeah, you know, summer is coming. And my friends at American Energy want to make sure you are dialed with your AC unit. So how about this half off tune-up right now? It's a special going on, just $24.50 to get your air conditioner tuned up. A free diagnostic. And oh, by the way, if you need a new AC unit, up to $3,500 in rebates on qualifying system installations. That's right. They've been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Here's the song.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is, live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectibles store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Rebound Robinson, hands to Bridges, who's had the ball in his hands now for all three Knick wins over the defending champion Boston Celtics. The New York Knicks have done it again, 121-113, and they've got the champs back on the ropes, a 3-1 series lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Still nothing from Shams. It was Shams an hour ago, maybe more than that. The Boston Celtics are bracing for the worst around Jason Tatum and that right foot. The Celtics last night have been expecting a severe injury for Tatum. So some people were a little optimistic that it didn't come out immediately the same way, Dame Lillard, it came out pretty quickly that next morning, but I think that was a little bit of copium going on from some Celtics fans out there. I mean, we all know what we saw, and either way, to be honest with you, and I'm, not necessarily, again, saying I'm a doctor or anything like that, but I had heard that sometimes it's better for it to just go, right? Because Dame, for example, Dame had stuff going on last season with the Achilles, and then this season it goes, right? So it's about, well, the only way to fix it is if it fully goes. This is not, again, like you, who you don't have to, I tweaked my Achilles, so I'm just not going to play basketball for the foreseeable future. That's not an option for Jason Tatum. And Clay did one of them. I think Clay did the Achilles in a practice run. So that's just not really an option for these guys. So I depending on how bad it is, you might argue, based on how it looked, you might argue that if it's clean and fully done, then you can repair it, tie it up and get on in there. And then, you use the bow tie. And that's how I imagined that they fixed it for me. They just put a bow tie.
They put a bow tie on your Achilles?
That's how I imagine it.
That is horrifying. Oh, my God.
In my mind.
I just kind of grabbed at my calf just hearing that.
I'll show you the scar after this break.
You want to see these scars?
Yeah, I'll show you the scars. So,
what movie is that from?
Dark Knight.
Oh, okay.
Dark Knight.
Never seen it.
Don't start with me.
I have not.
You haven't seen? Have you seen any of the? Not that it matters if you haven't seen Dark Knight. But.
No. I hadn't seen a Christopher Nolan movie until a year and a half ago. I've now seen what's the one with the dreams? I've seen that one.
Inception.
Yeah, Inception and Interstellar. I think that might be it.
At least you saw Interstellar, but no Dark Knight for you.
No, none of the Batmans yet. I only respect Batmans that are emo, like Robert Pattinson.
That is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. All right. And it's been some of the worst news that we've heard as far as these playoffs are concerned. Coming off of such a great first round, outstanding first round. Now, there were injuries, don't get me wrong, right? It started, obviously, with the Pacers and the Bucks, but it's just continued to get worse. Kyle, let me know if I'm missing anybody. I just have a group of Cavs players, okay?
Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter.
And now Donovan Mitchell. Yes,
so
now Donovan Mitchell.
All of their best players.
Just a ton of them. Dame.
Okay.
Steph.
Yep.
Ja, going back to that series. Ja goes down.
Yep.
Tatum, of course, who just went down. And we don't have to count Kyrie, but you could make an argument. But
sure, Kyrie.
It didn't happen during the playoffs. And it's just really blew this thing up. And I'm to the point now where I'm obviously going to keep watching, but no Jason Tatum. I mean, I hate to do the asterisk thing, but I don't know if you've seen the sports books. They have no clue who's going to win. I believe the Pacers had short. I think the Thunder have the shortest odds. And is this going to be remembered as just the healthy? Let's say the Thunder win it, right? And we kind of did this with the Celtics, and there really was no reason to do it with the Celtics other than people just think that Jason Tatum's corny. But if the Thunder win the whole thing, or whoever really, you can't take anything away from them. Those rings will still be real diamonds. We get all that. But will whatever team that wins, if it's a new team, not the Nuggets, the Nuggets or I guess the Warriors, but whoever the new team is that wins, as it's looking like it's going to be that, do you think they will get the respect they deserve?
So I will say if it's a team that doesn't have a superstar, they won't get the respect, right? If Anthony Edwards wins the championship, he's going to get the ultimate respect.
Right, because, they've been waiting to just kind of make him the guy anyway.
Sure. If Shea wins the championship, the Thunder were an all-time great regular season team, nobody's going to discredit that.
I would disagree with you there. I agree with you on Anthony Edwards. I disagree with you because the Thunder were so good. The argument would be, they didn't have to face X team, Y team, Z team.
But I think you're making the Eastern Conference point because if they get through to the champ, and I guess we could throw in Westbrook too because he missed some time, and Aaron Gordon has the injuries, and Porter Jr.'s back is about to explode. But they will have beaten Jokic and the Nuggets, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, and either the Halliburton Pace. I think this is actually, now that I'm talking out of my head, we will only not respect Tyrese Halliburton if he wins. Now that I've just talked it out in my head, it's the only person we're not going to respect is Tyrese.
Because if the Knicks win, you're not going to be able to tell Knicks fans anything.
No. And by the way, I think Jalen Brunson is a superstar. Mm-hmm. I said this last week. I think he can be the best player on a championship team, even though I don't think it will ever happen.
Right. Is everybody going to spin the block on Becky Hammond and say, I thought you said he couldn't win it all, where it's, but because here's the thing, they were going to lose that game, right? Boston was. They were going to lose. So then they would have been down 3-1 anyway. So you would have had to, and we've seen it happen before, but they would have had some tough sledding, and the Knicks probably get it done, and the Knicks did beat the Celtics mostly at full strength.
Yeah, I've talked it out in my head now because Steph is still technically hanging around there. I think that the Wolves are probably going to put him out, but I think the only one we're not going to respect is Tyrese. I think everyone else is going to get the respect. If Tyrese wins the championship, nobody is going to respect it.
They beat a Knicks team that beat the Celtics. Is it more so about the fact that it's not about Tyrese, it's about the fact that the Cavs look like the New Orleans Pelicans with the amount of injuries they have?
It's that, and the Pacers were not talked about enough in the regular season to make it feel like they were a legitimate championship contender, despite the fact that since January 1st, they had like the 6th best net rating in the league. So like they probably should have always been in the conversation. We just looked at the East and said it's going to be Cleveland and Boston, and they're going to put everyone else out. I think if they get there now, having to not go through a healthy Cleveland or a healthy Boston, I don't think anyone, and they win the championship.
And they didn't go through a healthy Bucks team, by the way.
Yeah, that's it. And a healthy Bucks team, and they're Indiana.
Dame came back. I'm just looking back here to refresh everyone's memory. Dame came back in game 2. Okay, he did not play in game 1. He came back in game 2. And I believe, based on what I'm reading here, Dame went out in game 2. So they got Dame for a half.
Well, no, he went out in game 2, and then he came back in game 3 and 4, and then 4 was when he tore his Achilles. So he got hurt in game 1, missed game 2.
No. He was already out in game 1 because of the blood clot.
Yes.
Then he comes back in game 2. He played in game 2 and they lost. He played in game
3 and they won.
Mm-hmm. And then game 4
was when he blew out his Achilles.
Yeah. So
that's basically, 2 games.
And then, I mean, I don't know if you get to play a Knicks team, you got to go to New York. You got to go, they're going to travel well to Indiana. They're not going to get looked at. I don't think they'll get looked at the same way as if the Knicks won. No. Or if the Nuggets won. No. Because they're coming out of any of the Western Conference teams, to your point.
I'll say this. If the Pacers get to the finals, then we will regard them the same way we regard the 2021 Suns, the 2007 Cavs, teams like that, where it's like, oh, you got some lucky breaks, but you also took care of business type of situation, right? Because if you remember last year in the playoffs, it was like 1 seed Boston, Porzingis was hurt. 2 seed Knicks, Hart and Anunoby were out. Bucks didn't have Giannis or Dame. Cleveland didn't have Donovan Mitchell. Orlando was Orlando. I think even Wendell Carter was out for them. But then everyone got hurt, basically. Indiana was healthy, and they got to the conference finals, and then Halliburton got hurt. Jimmy Butler was hurt. So we kind of did this with Boston last year, but Boston was so dominant that I don't think the stink is going to stay on them because they were a great regular season team. Indiana, who wasn't a great regular season team, the stink's probably going to stay.
I do wonder if it's less about how the team will be viewed and the star. These aren't the same situations at all, as we're about to get into a little bit of NFL talk here in about 2 minutes. But it's funny because the first thing I think about is Jalen Hurts. If Tyrese Halliburton wins the whole thing, and he is the best player on the team, I think it's a little bit different with Jalen because of how well Saquon played. But my larger point is that Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl, and I don't know that anybody looks at Jalen Hurts any differently. Tyrese Halliburton, I think they could win the whole thing. I guess it depends on how it happens, but I feel like we could go into next season and nobody would bump Tyrese Halliburton over whoever the Luka, anybody like that. It would be, yeah, he's a champion, so we should, but we're not going to.
Right. I don't think Tyrese Halliburton's ever been top 10 in the MVP before. So it's not like, oh, this young player is just carrying them to the title. I will say, if they do go on a run to the finals, I think you could be looking at, he's never even gotten an MVP vote before. So I think you could be looking at them being contenders for the 1 or 2 seed next season, just because they've been to the conference finals twice. They have that confidence. Maybe they bring in one more player. But yeah, I think if they go on a run to the finals and get put out by Denver, OKC, or Minnesota, I think we're all going to be like, oh, that was a little fluky.
Yeah. So, you got to win the championship, or you have to show that your path, even if it was a bit easier or even lucky, it is legitimate.
Or you just have a superstar.
Mark Schler thinks that Brock Purdy is legitimate to the tune of being top 5 in the NFL. I like Brock. Top 5. We'll hear from him on the other side and why this could be a shady breakout season for those San Francisco 49ers. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See dealer for full details and displays.
At SMUD, we power local business with incentives on clean energy equipment, tools to manage electricity usage and save money, tailored solutions from dedicated strategic account advisors, and 50% lower rates than neighboring utilities, all while doing more for the planet with clean energy solutions, savings, reliability, personalized service, clean energy, helping local businesses thrive. That's our clean power promise. Learn more at smud.org.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile brand. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers, plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us, plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
The Sacramento River Cats second half 2025 promo calendar is finally here. From Star Wars night to Nickelodeon night to Christmas in July and more, the fun is just getting started at Sutter Health Park. Get your River Cats baseball tickets today at rivercats.com.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
I had Brock Purdy 7 going into last season. And these QB rankings, and it's always funny when they start ranking dudes that haven't even played yet. So not trying to disrespect anybody. I definitely am not. But I don't think I have Brock Purdy at 7 right now. I have to, in my mind, calibrate everything. But Mark Schlereth, friend of the show, by the way, we spoke to him not this past Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl prior to when the Niners were in it. Mark Schlereth is making a bold claim as to where he thinks Brock Purdy will end up by the time this season is over. Here it is.
Mark it down. Like Brock Purdy, when you look at Brock Purdy, one, from the neck up, decision-making. He gets through progressions like none other. And then yards per attempt. I don't even know what that means, but he's first in that. That means it's good. Nerds love that stuff. It means you throw it deep all the time. Passer rating, he's second in the NFL since he came in to the National Football League. Yards, third. Completion percentage, fifth. I mean, he is unbelievable. And everybody just wants to point to the fact that, they have so many weapons. They're so good. He proves that it's a lot about Brock Purdy and not as much about all the weapons around him, because they got rid of guys. They got rid of Debo. They've got guys that are coming off of injury. Brock Purdy proves that he's a top quarterback.
There you go. Brock Purdy as a top 5 quarterback. That is what Mark Schlereth is saying that Brock will be. And I'll say this. I don't necessarily have Brock that high, but we've read these opponents before, and I do think that the Niners are in a great position. Nobody's talking about them. Everybody is disrespecting them, and their home opponents, the Cardinals, the Rams, the Seahawks, of course, those 3, the Falcons, Falcons, another team in the NFC South that is supposed to just take over the easy NFC South, but then doesn't.
No one can catch the Bucs. The Bucs have won 5 division titles.
Carolina Panthers, who they could be better. I don't know that they'll be good. The Jacksonville Jaguars, those 2 teams could be better right? But I'm still probably taking the Niners in they're going to lose to the Cardinals at least once. They're going to lose to the Rams at least once. They're probably only going to sweep one of the teams in the division. I'm just going to go ahead and guess the Seahawks because I think they'll split against the other two. I think they're a better team than the Falcons. I think they're a better team than the Panthers. It's not to say I think they'll win these games, but I think they're a better team than the Falcons, a better team than the Panthers, a better team than the Jaguars, a better team than the Titans, a better team than the Bears. Those are all their home games. As far as the away games, obviously we already talked about the division. Outside the division, they're better than the Cleveland Browns. They're better. I don't think they're better than the Houston Texans, but they're better than the Cleveland Browns. The Texans, that's questionable. The Colts, I truly don't know, but I think that Brock Purdy's better than Anthony Richardson. The Saints, they're definitely better than the Saints now with Derek Carr retiring. I would say, what's up with Alvin Kamara? I feel like he just wasted it. I loved him coming out of Tennessee. He just wasted his whole career. What a waste.
It's not that he wasted his whole career. He was great when the Saints were competitive. The Saints just haven't been competitive.
I get sad. I got sad watching him this past season. Look, man, just don't waste your energy. Just don't even bother.
You know what's weird? He quietly is in year 9. So he's one of those running backs.
It might be cooked.
I'm not saying that he's cooked. I'm saying he's quietly one of the best aging running backs that has ever existed in the last, 15 years. I'm not saying forever, but
I think the Raiders go get him, to little lightning thunder. He can catch the rock, prolong his career.
What do you mean? They have Alexander Madison.
Okay. They're better than the Giants, and I think I would probably give the Bucs the edge just out of respect. But that's a lot of teams that the game's not played on paper, but you got a chip on your shoulder. Nobody's talking about you. Brock's about to get paid. You have no more drama or less drama with Debo gone. And I think that things are lining up quite well for the San Francisco 49ers.
So the one point I will make is that 14 of those 17 teams are exactly the same for all of the NFC West teams, right? So they have an advantage over the rest of the league, but not over the NFC West.
Yeah.
I think the unique ones, if I'm just eyeballing it, are Chicago, the Giants, and Cleveland. So that's a good break, getting to play those teams instead of, the Rams have to play the Lions and the Eagles. So they got a good break in that sense, but I think they're just looking at the schedule and banking on that to be what gets them 12 wins and winning the division, I think is a tough game, but they have the easiest schedule in the league for a reason because they're playing a third place schedule and both of the South divisions.
CBSSports.com, going off of what Mark Schlereth had to say, they have Brock Purdy in the top 10, okay? And they have him at number 10. So as far as, quarterbacks post-draft.
Okay.
And I love how they say post-draft just because we're going to throw Cam Ward better than some QB that's actually taking NFL snaps. So let's play King of the Hill, and we're going to do this reverse. And when I say a name, we're going to decide whether or not Brock Purdy is better than this guy, just to see if 10 feels right.
All right.
Number 1, and this ticks me off, Kyle, the freshman wonder year where everything went right. There's no tape on this guy. And all of a sudden they have Jaden Daniels as the number 1 QB in their power rankings.
What? That's dumb.
Yes, they do.
Can we just take him off the list? I'm like, it's too early for that.
Real quick, they say recency bias, sure, but you'd be hard-pressed to find an NFL team that wouldn't hurry to claim him as its quarterback of the present and future. That's contenders included. That's what they had to say.
I'm just going to ignore him for now.
Okay. So Jaden Daniels, is Brock Purdy better than Jaden Daniels? It's really weird. I think you're right, Kyle. Not to cop out, but we'll see what happens after year 2.
Don't do rookies or second-year players.
Okay.
Just wait.
Jalen Hurts. They have Jalen Hurts at number 2.
What?
I'm giving Jalen Hurts.
Where's Lamar Jackson?
Hold on. I'm giving Jalen Hurts the respect. I know it was a heck of a team, and we can drop Brock Purdy on the Eagles if we want, but I'm going to take, and this is something that I did not do going into last season, but I'm going to take Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy.
Yes, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts because he's better.
Joe Burrow at number 3.
Yeah,
I'm taking Joe. Lamar Jackson at number 4. I'm taking Lamar. So that has now Brock at what? Number 4, since we're not counting Jaden Daniels. Josh Allen at number 5. So Josh Allen stays. Patrick Mahomes at number 6.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes stays. This is exact, and this is how he ended up 7 for me last time. Coming in at number 7, Matthew Stafford.
I'll go push.
What do we do with a push?
They're the same tier, right? I don't want to debate who's 9 or 10.
No.
They're the same tier.
No. We're not doing tier. It's called King of the Hill.
Okay. I guess I'm taking. Is this for one season?
It's whatever you want it to be.
Oh, then I guess Purdy because he's younger. I just call it a push.
People are really high on Matthew Stafford, but he always does the thing that he can't do. Just because I want the game to keep going, I'm going to say Matthew Stafford's better, only because I don't want the game to end.
Sure.
Because I want to get to these other names.
I'm not going to fight you.
Jordan Love comes in at number 8.
I will say Jordan Love.
Jordan Love at number 8. You have him. So not to get too caught in the weeds, but you like.
I've liked Jordan.
But you think Matt? You like Matt? Do you like?
I like Jordan Love more than Matthew Stafford.
Okay. I do not. I think I want to, but I need to see more. Every time I want to believe in Jordan Love, pretty player, aesthetically pleasing, but I need to see him do it consistently. And he's dealt with some injury issues as well. Number 9, Jared Goff.
I'm going to go Purdy.
I'm going to go Purdy too. After that, these are, and this is so crazy. I need to look up, and we're up against it. I want to look up what the rankings were going into last season because, and I'm not talking about these guys, but Baker Mayfield at number 11.
Wow.
Justin Herbert at number 12.
Hey, he's ahead of Purdy.
CJ Stroud at number 13.
Yeah,
he was Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. That's why this is very silly. So I think I'm at 10 ahead of Purdy. Unless there's another one I'm forgetting.
They got Dak at 14.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a push.
Bo Nix at 15.
Okay, yeah. So I got 10 ahead of Purdy.
They disrespecting Geno. I don't know why they're doing my man like that. Geno at 17. And he's my guy now. They have Tua at 21, and he's getting paid so much
Tua
money.
below Geno is crazy.
They have JJ McCarthy at 20, and they have Drake May at 19.
Okay.
And they have Trevor Lawrence at 18, and they have Tua at 21.
Whatever. Okay.
Behind Tua, Sam Darnold at 22, Kyler Murray at 23.
Jesus, that is rude.
Justin Fields at 24. This is where it gets fun. Cam Ward at 25, Bryce Young at 26, Michael Penix Jr. at 27, Russell Wilson at 28, Joe Flacco at 29, Anthony Richardson at 30.
God, I didn't realize how many teams just have bad quarterbacks.
That's why I'm saying you don't have to tank. It's easy.
There's like 12. Yeah, Jesus. There's like 12 teams that are going to have a bad quarterback week 1. That usually isn't that many.
NBA draft lottery results. Should the NBA move to an NFL model or should the NFL move to an NBA model? Also, let's take another look at what the Kings gave up for DeMar DeRozan. Was it too much? Is that a crazy statement? 1 o'clock hour coming up next. Down South, Sacktown Sports.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputations. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, the A's call-up of last year's first-round pick and fourth selection overall in the draft, Nick Kurtz, is not surprising, but his rise through the A's minor league system is pretty astounding. Kurtz has played in only 32 minor league games, but the numbers are eye-popping. A .336 average, 11 home runs, and 37 RBIs. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Memorial Day savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado Turbo Max in stock. And Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections of new Silverado in the Sacramento area. $12,500 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Plus turning 21 or more, not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
The hot weather is coming. Is your HVAC system ready for it? Let Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating make sure it is. Get to Lee'sAirPlumbingandHeating.com. Check out their $99 HVAC tune-up special. And let me tell you why Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating is the way to go. They took care of me when our heater collapsed over the winter, and Lee set us up with a great new HVAC system that is providing comfort, value, and quality. Let Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating take care of you. License number 635355.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like two sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for that water wheel.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacramento's official home of the 49ers.
San Francisco.
Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
I love the offseason of the NBA. We have more NFL talk we're going to get to. Got a lot of texts coming through about the Brock Purdy talk, and we're going to get back into some Brock Purdy talk in about 10 minutes. The 775 is back, the triple agent. Says, what the bleep does a triple agent even mean? 775 said, dude, come on, Purdy is not that good for you to have such an audacious view on Jaden Daniels we were talking about, is so disrespectful. It's not just about Jaden Daniels, though. CJ Stroud was the belle of the ball after his rookie year. We've seen crazy rookie seasons before. Maybe not as crazy as Jaden Daniels, but I'm not saying Jaden Daniels isn't good, but to have him ranked number one after the 1 year, maybe that's where he should be in some people's minds. I just need to see more. That's all. I like what I see from Jaden Daniels. Let's see him after there's the scouting report. Let's see him after defenses have seen what he can do a little bit, and I will gladly be wrong. That's all. But why I do love, and we have more, we'll talk a little bit more NFL in the 1 o'clock hour. But what I do love about the NBA and just drama in general, right? Sports drama. These are 2 consecutive tweets on my timeline, okay? Back to back. Legion Hoops aggregating Brian Windhorst of ESPN. Quote, they've wanted Giannis in Dallas for years. They signed his brother. Just thought I'd point that out. Right after that, you have, actually, there's 3 in a row. You have CEO of Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, said on a Pat McAfee show, the Mavericks will not be trading the number 1 overall pick for Giannis. So we got Rich Paul, who doesn't even work for the Mavericks, saying this stuff on the Pat McAfee show. Cooper Flag will officially be their selection at number 1 to help form a lethal front court. That's from Evan Sidery, who then also is aggregating. Then I keep scrolling from Yahoo Sports, aggregating ESPN's Tim McMahon, who also works with Brian Windhorst. The Dallas Mavericks plan to select Cooper Flag and will not trade away the pick for a proven superstar. But Windhorst is saying they've wanted Giannis in Dallas for years.
So Giannis for Anthony Davis in a first-round pick?
So Cooper Flag is staying in Dallas, but Dallas wants Giannis. I mean, if you're the Bucks, you're not trading Giannis for Anthony Davis. You're not doing it. You better something's got to be attached.
No, let's not go down that path, because what's going to happen is Nico's defense wins championships. Team is going to add Cooper Flag, and the timelines might not work, but Cooper's going to be cheap, and it's kind of a weird way to say it, they're actually going to have a puncher's chance at making this thing work. They got the bailout of all bailouts, because not only do you get a point guard to replace Luka, and I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Luka, and even if he were to be as good as Luka, it's not worth trading Luka.
I don't think he has as much point guard play as a true point.
But let's say you Kyrie and him are the backcourt. You now insert a cheap, and I say that Cooper's making, like, on the first overall pick, $9 million, $11 million, and $13 million over 3 years, a cost-controllable star that makes it so that you don't have to give up any other pieces to build a championship contender. This is a huge win for the Mavericks, and it doesn't make sense for them to just blow the whole thing up to put Anthony Davis alongside Giannis.
So this is just incredible. I still can't believe all of this happened. And regardless of whether they continue to move on with Cooper or if they decide to trade him, it's just not fair. And I hate saying fair on the when it comes to sports, but it's really some crazy stuff.
Why? Because 11 months ago, they won the Western Conference Championship?
They were in the finals. But, hey, no, tanking bad. Tanking bad, random good. That's what everyone said. Tanking bad, random good, but also paying too much bad. Everyone pay the same good. Which is it, NBA? Which is it?
Just change the rules, and the smart people or the dumbest of them all will reap the rewards. I think that's the other part of it, is no amount of rules you can make are going to stop dumb teams. Because you could make the argument like, oh, these teams that are down bad didn't get the number 1 pick to turn their fortunes around. Nobody had a worse year than Dallas. Not a single fan base in the NBA. Not the Jazz, not the Hornets, not the Wizards. Nobody had a worse year than Dallas just went through. They deserve to be happy at the end of it. And by they, I mean the fans of the team.
Sure. The fans, sure.
But the idiots that are running the Dallas Mavericks are going to fall into a lucky situation. Who knows if they're going to make their own luck afterwards, but yeah, no one was as down bad as the Mavericks this year. So in a weird way, the lottery worked. It helped the team that was the most down bad end up getting their way back to the top. And I know other teams were tanking, but most of them chose to do that.
I'm looking here and just breaking down the DeMar DeRozan deal, right? Is it weird now that we know how it's probably going to end? And the report from Jake Fisher is that DeMar DeRozan is on the way out. The Sacramento Kings are gauging interest, and this is just me adding this on. DeMar and his team is probably gauging interest as well to try to find the perfect fit for him. But you look at the deal for DeMar DeRozan, and we'd have to double check, the first round pick swap and things like that. And the swap is owned by San Antonio. Harrison Barnes, Chris Duarte, and the 2031 first round pick swap. Is it terribly disrespectful to even, because Chris Duarte's not even in the league anymore. So did the Kings, how do we evaluate if the Kings won that trade or not?
Well, it wasn't even a trade either. It was
like,
a sign and trade.
How do we evaluate? Because it wasn't a success, right? Not that you didn't lose too much, but it also wasn't a success, which is the only the Kings could end up in a situation like this where it wasn't a success, but all right, I guess you didn't give up that much. But in 2031, I mean 2031, I think the Spurs will still be good. So that thing's cooked.
Well, it only gets cooked if the Kings are bad, right? It doesn't matter if the Kings are.
I know that.
If the Kings are the 12th pick and the Spurs are the 20 pick, that doesn't really hurt you that much. It's going to really hurt if the Kings are 4 and the Spurs are 20.
Good thing the Kings refuse to tank, I guess, in that perspective.
Well, no, they got to start tanking now so that by 2031, I joke like this, like they can get the pick swap back if they give something to San Antonio. It's just they have to look themselves in the mirror and say, at the end of the day, the most valuable thing in that trade could end up being the 2031 pick swap, which I don't think anyone had penciled in when the trade happened, that of all the DeRozans and Harrison Barnes, the most valuable thing leaving that trade might end up being the 2031 pick swap that they couldn't get back in the De'Aaron Fox trade.
Right. They did not get it back. So, you're looking at all of the different possibilities. And, I think the biggest thing about this isn't necessarily whether it was a success or not. It really was more so about the fact that a lot of us knew that it wasn't going to work. And a lot of us had question marks to start the conversation when the deal was made. So the fact that it didn't work out, I think a lot of us just feel as if, that's what we thought. We hoped for the best. We all hoped. We even tried to talk ourselves into it, maybe working, and then it didn't.
Well, they blew it up too quickly.
Well, that too.
It's that it was working, and then they blew the whole thing up by beginning with firing Mike Brown and then everything that happened after that. But they only gave it 31 games. 31 games, and then, out of that 31 games, 5 of those games, they weren't at full strength. So I guess we don't, Is it just an I for incomplete? We just never got to see it? It's E for exploded.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it like that. When they missed, 5 to 7 games as a full unit, and the whole thing got blown up after 31. And now you are going to continue, not blow it up, but blow up that part of it.
I'm trying to think. The interim beam team got almost just as many games as the Fox, DeRozan, Sabonis, Mike Brown group had together. They blew that thing up so fast. Yeah, which is weird because based on what we know or what we thought we knew as far as the De'Aaron Fox thing, it just felt like they never wanted to go into that season with what they had, and they ran out of time in the offseason. They didn't want to extend Mike Brown. I'm surprised we haven't heard reports about them trying to move on from De'Aaron Fox prior to that season, because clearly they knew what the dominoes looked like. I think they had an escape plan, and they executed it immediately, and now we'll really never know what could have been. I just did the math in my head. It's actually even funnier than that. So from opening night of the Kings until Mike Brown got fired, They had 68 days together. The group of Fox, DeRozan, everybody else. The interim beam team, which is from when Zach LaVine, I'm classifying as when Zach LaVine got traded until the play-in and the night Monty McNair got fired. That team got 69 days together. 69 days for the interim beam team, 68 days for Mike Brown, DeMar DeRozan, and De'Aaron Fox. Just blew the whole thing up.
Yeah,
so crazy.
As far as the lottery is concerned, okay, we'll talk about it. Was it rigged or not? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Some big news. Iran is threatening to wipe Israel off the map and destroy America. Now, UN inspectors say Iran is close to getting nuclear weapons, just weeks away. But President Trump vows he won't let them. He's even moved 2 aircraft carriers to the area. This is a big story, and Newsmax's Rob Finnerty is covering it all this week and exposing the real threat. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight for Rob's series, Stop Iran, and find out Trump's secret plan to fix this. Watch Finnerty on Newsmax on all major cable systems. President Trump says he watches Newsmax all the time. You should too. So download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone and sign up for Newsmax Plus to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax because it's real news for real people.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Everyone wants to discuss whether or not it was a conspiracy. From Nick on the text line, conspiracy theory, I firmly believe that the NBA gifted the Mavericks with the #1 overall pick because the NBA orchestrated the Luka trade to the Lakers. That is the #1. The #1 thought as far as a conspiracy theory, also the conversation of the Mavericks wanting to head to Vegas, and because they hooked up the NBA, they'll get to move to Vegas. The owner wants to move to Vegas. And now they do have a young talent to then move to Vegas with. So there's a lot there. Do I think it's rigged? I would like to believe that it's not. I would like to believe that you truly always have a chance, right? And if you think the NBA is rigged, then why do you play the lotto? I know I saw something before that people in California win the lotto because of the taxes, so more comes back to the government, which that one kind of makes sense. But, the idea of winning it in a different place or whatever the case may be. So, I love conspiracy theories. Everybody knows that. I love conspiracy theories. With that being said, and somebody was bringing up the law firm that's connected to the law firm that is connected to the NBA and who is kind of in control of it, things like that. So it is very deep how this stuff goes.
I think my favorite tweet of the night was the guy who was like, if you believe the NBA lottery is rigged, then you believe Ernst & Young is committing fraud, is enabling and committing fraud.
Yes, exactly.
And then people quote tweeted below that they had to pay out $10 million for fraud.
For fraud. But they still have much more to lose than to gain in these situations. I'm sure the NBA is cashing them out to do a job the right way. So that's kind of where everything is at. I don't want to believe it's a conspiracy theory. Doesn't mean that it's not.
They also published the video after it's done.
Doesn't mean that it's not. Doesn't mean how many people should be going out there right now and playing the actual lottery today. Because if If the Mavericks won theirs, who's to say that you can't win yours? That's what I would say. Go out there. Can't win if you don't play.
I mean, it was only a 1.8% chance.
Cannot win if you don't play. So I'd throw that out there. But I don't think it was an inside job or anything like that. Now you have, and by the way, as far as the Kings are concerned, they now control all of their first round picks. The positive of losing it last night is that finally it's done. It's done now, right? Now the Kings control their first round picks from 2026 through 2032. It's officially done. Okay? And they have the 2031 pick swap with the Spurs, notwithstanding, of course. But you have all of those picks back. It's over now. But as we look at who is in the best position and how the league is going to shift as they have revealed all this stuff, I think the easiest thing to first start with is, all right, if you're the Mavericks, you need to figure out a plan. Because you can mess this up. Let's not get this wrong. You can mess this up. If there is somebody out there that may not draft, and I know what Rich Paul is saying, who doesn't work for the Mavericks, by the way, but I know what Rich Paul is saying. But you could mess this up and go and outsmart yourself and think somebody else is going to be better than Cooper, whatever the case is, and you can mess this thing up. That's for sure. So Dallas, number 1, San Antonio, number 2, Philadelphia, number 3, Charlotte, number 4. Is it crazy if I said that the Spurs are in a better position than the Mavericks? That crazy?
Oh, 100%, because the Spurs already have Wemby.
They already have Wemby. They're younger. The Dallas Mavericks, they actually are dealing with the conversation of, okay, well, Cooper better be as ready as everybody says, because if you don't trade for Giannis and he's not as ready as people think, so now you're hoping, because that was always the question, whether or not Cooper Flagg was going to be generational. They think that he's going to be really good, but generational. So if you keep Cooper Flagg, he is really good. Really good. Period. End of statement. You don't win one with AD and Kyrie, who Kyrie he's had a really good. You have 2 guys, and 3 if you count Clay. You have 3 guys that have had a ton of injuries, right? Kyrie, you trust him to be your point guard. I know we just did it, and what happened? He got injured towards the end of the year. He was playing a ton of minutes. Anthony Davis, that goes without saying. He couldn't get on the court. It was whack-a-mole. You got Anthony Davis back, Kyrie goes down, and Klay Thompson's been pretty good with injuries, but obviously he had the catastrophic. He's just not who he was. So let's say, okay, you bring in Cooper Flagg. They don't win the whole thing. They don't win the whole thing the next couple years. AD, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, they age out. Now you're stuck with Cooper, and Cooper is just a really good player, right? And then wouldn't you look back and say, man, I guess, and you could, and Giannis is what, 30 now? You could say, I think it's a legitimate argument, and maybe I'm talking crazy, but I think it's a legitimate argument. What would you rather have, Giannis at 30 or Cooper Flagg right now? Well, I think it's a real conversation.
It's a fun hypothetical, but it doesn't make sense for Dallas. You're going to put Giannis and Anthony Davis together? That doesn't make any sense.
Everybody's just looking at the biggest fish, and I get that. And you're not going to do KD because I would not do it for KD, but we can remove Dallas. Just in general, I think, and I guess it's only Dallas because they have the first pick, but in general, I think that people are dismissing, and I'm a huge Cooper guy, but I think people are dismissing getting a superstar in their prime versus a gamble. And this isn't and Zion didn't work out. And Zion was more of a sure thing than Cooper as far as the ceiling.
Yeah. And Zion, you could say Zion didn't work out, but Zion's been a multiple-time all-star when he's been on the floor. It's like immediately inserting an all-star level good. That's Zion, that's Wemby. We don't know if Cooper Flagg is going to be exactly that, but we know he's better than anyone else in the draft class. I think instead of making it Cooper Flagg, let's just take it one step down, right? Dylan Harper is a guard who people think is going to be really, really good, and in a non-Cooper Flagg draft class would have been the number 1 pick, right? So if I make it Dylan Harper and say, would you take the number 2 pick? Would you take Giannis for the possibility of an all-star point guard? I think most people would say, no, you're going to have to add stuff on top of it.
Right.
But if I make it Cooper Flagg, all of a sudden people look at it and say, oh, well, of course you have to get it. The difference between Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper is not like universes apart. Like both of those players are supposed to be excellent prospects. But because it's the name Cooper Flagg, I think people are going to inherently add more value to it because we've known who he is since he was 15 years old.
Yeah, I think a part of this too is the school, and the Dylan Hart. Those two, they were both at Rutgers, and they stunk.
Well, there's also one more thing.
So
you know what I'm talking about.
So I think I would, not that it works, and to be fair, I mean AD can shoot the rock. I don't think that the Mavericks. I don't think it's a terrible fit. I think it would be interesting. I think the problem is, you'd run Giannis at the 5 because AD wants to play 4. So I think it could work for sure. Defensively, they'd be a nightmare.
But that's why the Spurs thing makes more sense of Wemby, shot blocking 5, Giannis 4 who can handle the ball on offense.
And I believe the Spurs have the 2nd pick, and then they have the 2nd pick and the 14th pick. If they want Giannis, it's over, right?
Yeah, if they want him, they have the best package of any team that wants to get in the game. If Giannis says, I'm out, here are my 5 destinations, the Spurs will have the best offer of anyone, without question.
Let's keep the conversation going. And also going to get into why I might understand the whole Shedeur Sanders slipping thing. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead.
Get your Kings fix all season long right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman.
Lead me all the way.
Cole Wetzel. Plus Billy Currington, Nate Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
The Hagen Oaks Cutting Edge Putter Fitting Studio offers you more technology, more choices, and more service. Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. With $30,000 worth of state-of-the-art technology ready for your fitting, Hagen Oaks will help you make your best putting stroke while finding the best putter design, shape, hosel, length, and loft for your game. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531 for more.
Are you thinking about buying a new car? Well, maybe you're on the fence. Let me help you out. Kyle Draper here from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. From the first time I stepped into the MP of Stockton showroom, I knew I made the right choice. I settled on the all-electric EQS SUV. It's comfortable, stylish, and most importantly, it's safe. Mercedes-Benz has the reputation of making the finest cars in the world. Now it's your turn to experience what I already know. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is the best car buying experience you'll ever have. It's just a short drive down I-5 or anytime at MBFStockton.com.
The Hagen Oaks Cutting Edge Putter Fitting Studio offers you more technology, more choices, and more service. Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. With $30,000 worth of state-of-the-art technology ready for your fitting, Hagen Oaks will help you make your best putting stroke while finding the best putter design, shape, hosel, length, and loft for your game. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531 for more.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is, live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Watching Clorox cleanup spray dissolve tough grime in the shower feels like...
Wait, this really just happened? I'm shocked. Underwear and everything?
It feels like being able to zip up your overpacked suitcase on the first try.
Smooth.
With Clorox, clean feels satisfying. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
Some conflicting reports coming out of Cleveland, and you have one side of things. Okay, you have Cleveland from Browns and NFL analyst Tony Grossi, and he's saying, I thought both days, he says this on Cleveland radio station, I thought both days Dylan Gabriel looked a little bit better. And then you have the other side, and that's LaShawn McCoy on the faculty saying, I got sources, and they're telling me that Shedor's looked the best in camp. He says, they told me he looks like the best player out of the whole camp. He also goes on to say he thinks Shedor is going to be starting. And this is exactly what teams didn't want to deal with, right? You're just into mini camp. There's going to be so many. We haven't even got to all the questions that the head coach will have to deal with as far as, hey, Shedor didn't get as many reps today. And again, we don't even know what the depth chart is, but Shedor could be the third or fourth quarterback on that depth chart.
Or fifth.
So we don't even know where he's going to land. And we know, if you have followed the Niners, that was really annoying to Kyle Shanahan during training camp to answer questions on when it was Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, and with Brandon Allen, whoever it was, why Trey Lance is only getting 3 snaps. Why the snap count was crazy. What was it, 2 years ago? Snapgate, you could have called it. The snap count was crazy. And now you have the Browns. They're about to have to deal with that. And they got to, Kenny, it's just a circus. It's a circus of a QB room. I thought at least the Giants room, there's some success in there. You got Russell Wilson, you got Jameis Winston, and then you got Jackson Dart, right? And that doesn't make a ton of sense having Jameis and Russell, but having the young guy in there makes sense. Cleveland, you got Flacco, you got Kenny Two Gloves, Kenny Pickett, then you have the 2 young guns, and I might be forgetting someone.
You are, but I don't want to talk about him.
Okay. So that's 4. And obviously Deshaun. So that's 5. I don't know when Deshaun is going to be ready, but that's 5. 4 that are going to be ready, barring injury, to start the season. And you're going to have to, it could be Flacco.
It's Flacco right now. They're saying he's QB1 on the depth chart.
So Shador, that would make Shador number 4. So coach got to get out there, players got to get out there and get questions about Shador Sanders, who is, I mean, we'll find out soon if Shador is behind Dylan Gabriel or not. Either way, that would still just make him 3rd. And part of me feels like this is exactly what teams didn't want to deal with. If they don't think, I was watching something yesterday about the hand pat, about how Shador hand pats or pats the ball tap before he throws. So there's that. But the other part of this is there's always going to be conversations about the quarterback. So if you do think that you have somebody that is generational in that group, and obviously it's not going to be the first 2 guys, but between Gabriel and Shador, and you're trying to find your guy as they are trying to do, I guess the other side of the argument is, well, unless you got a dude, there are always quarterback questions anyway. So let's just deal with it. Hopefully we find our guy and we just go from there.
Sure, but I guess we don't also have to pretend it isn't what it is, right? The ratings came back for the NFL draft, and it was the highest rated draft since the COVID year.
Yes.
Which is like everyone was in their house and there were no sports, so of course everyone was going to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it was the highest rated draft was because of milking every bit out of the Shador Sanders story that we could.
And he lasted till day 3.
Exactly. And so what is happening now is a continuation of that milking of content from Shador Sanders for a quarterback room that nobody cares about and rookie mini camps that nobody cares about.
Right, but content is different than what the Browns and what other teams wanted to deal with. If I'm a coach, do I really care? And I don't know if I should or not. Do I really care that Shador Sanders has the highest selling jersey in whatever amount of time? Do I care about that? Maybe the owner, and that's why a lot of people thought, oh, is this an owner pick or whatever, even though we were also told that the owner said, don't take Shador Sanders. So if it's an owner type thing and it's, hey, man, look at all this revenue we're bringing in a season that was not completely lost. Obviously, they got some pieces, but look at all this revenue we're bringing in from Shador Sanders. So you're going to deal with the questions that you're going to be asked. But if I'm a coach, I don't necessarily care about that revenue. My job is to win games. And the games haven't even started yet, but every single day, like I said, we saw this out in Santa Clara, San Francisco. Every single day it was, or it seems like it was Trey Lance. When you had Brock Purdy, that was coming off of Brock finishing that season and having the elbow thing. That was when it was snap count gate. That's when all that was happening.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I would say with the Browns is like I can tell you exactly where this is going to go. It's going to come to the end of training camp, and they're going to have to get rid of one of the quarterbacks. So they're either going to trade Kenny Pickett, they're going to cut Dylan Gabriel, or they're going to cut Shador Sanders. It's going to be one of those 3 things is going to happen. We're just grinding the process out to see which one of the rookies is going to be their emergency 3rd quarterback on the practice squad, which really does not matter because if any of those quarterbacks ends up playing, A, Flacco's going to have had a terrible season, or B, they're going to have injuries, at which point it doesn't matter who's quarterbacking the Cleveland Browns.
Well. I can't wait to get this. We're getting to this in a couple minutes, but another name gets brought up that has made the rounds before, and this is what they get for getting fined for tanking. There is a name that is popping back up since things did not work out for this team that is coming up in a couple minutes here. And Kyle has a bit of a grin. It's pretty funny. And I'm not laughing at somebody else's pain, but we're in Sacramento, so we can do whatever the heck.
Also, if it's the team I think it is, I think we can laugh at them.
But yeah, to close the loop on Shador Sanders, any of these teams, I do see the side of I don't want to deal with the drama, but also I don't necessarily mind taking what comes with the drama if we actually don't know. The Browns don't really know what they're doing anyway, so let's make some money in the process. And they could cut Flacco. I don't know. They could do whatever. They could cut Flacco. They could cut Kenny Two Gloves and keep Shador because they feel like keeping Shador. The world is theirs for the Browns.
Your terrible quarterbacks don't matter.
No. Look, man, whether it's this industry, things are changing. And if you are the Browns and you're not doing anything anyway, you might as well make money off of. Now, like I said, if I'm a coach, I don't want to deal with this drama. But if I'm an owner or somebody in charge of making money for the Browns, yeah, Shador needs to stay on the team. I'm sorry.
Sure, but this is not the revolution of making money and celebrity that they are all of a sudden like accessing.
No, I don't think so. But you only get guys like this ever so often.
Sure, but I think they're the only team that decided to go this route. And just speaking historically, the Cleveland Browns are not the beacon of visionaries when it comes to the quarterback position. So I don't necessarily look at this and say, oh, they've just tapped into a market and they're just going to rake in money. They're going to do enough to justify taking him with the pick, but ultimately he might be out of a job by August because they can only keep 3 quarterbacks.
You want to make another bet?
I do not.
I'm just saying.
Lord knows the last thing I want to do is be invested in the Browns quarterback room.
Make another bet. Whitey Gleason joins us, close out the show, and we'll tell you who's that name that might have to make their way back onto our trade target list before the week is over. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like 2 sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for that water wheel.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-566-1649. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-566-1649. That's 800-566-1649. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Sacramento River Cats Baseball is celebrating Corduroy Bucket Hat Night, presented by Power Market on Friday, May 30th at Sutter Health Park. The first 2,500 fans score this stylish hat. Get your River Cats baseball tickets today at rivercats.com.
Live and local.
It's Allen Stiles
On Sacktown Sports.
What if I told you that the Jazz completely tricked off this Lauri Markkanen situation? This is from Brett Siegel. This is from Brett Siegel. Rival teams are expected to once again acquire about Lauri Markkanen, but his trade value has decreased significantly after signing an extension last summer. The massive haul Utah could have received for Markkanen last summer isn't expected to be available this time around. So,
Jazz.
So you have the Jazz deciding to extend Lauri Markkanen, making his price tag, raising his price tag, whatever it is, then not playing Lauri Markkanen because they were trying to tank, successfully tanking, but not successfully getting a good enough pick. And now they might move Lauri Markkanen and get way less. And I feel as if Danny Ainge should get roasted for this.
Well, we have to wait and see what the end game is. Is he going to now decide, well, we just can't get the guy in the draft? We tried and tried and tried. Or is he going to stay at it? Is he going to say, I want to trade Lauri Markkanen as part of a teardown to further enhance our chances of getting the number one pick next year? I don't know.
Yeah. So that news, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I guess, Kyle, he's got to go back on the trade candidate list at some point this week.
God, I hope they don't trade for Lauri Markkanen. I'm telling you, that is one of the worst contracts in the NBA right now.
Join the club.
Could you?
Join the club.
Well, they would have to take Zach LaVine.
And why would they do that?
Take a pick. He wants picks. We got all these picks. Give one away.
So you're going to give away picks to get Lauri Markkanen now?
Just one.
They're just going to collect all of Minnesota's picks?
Sure. Why not? And I was trying to Senor segue this, but I didn't have it in me because it's not great news. Breaking. Senor segue strikes again. Breaking. This is from Shams. We were waiting for it. And here it is. Boston Celtics All-NBA star Jason Tatum underwent surgery. So they never even announced that it was torn, but we do have an announcement that he's already underwent surgery to repair the torn right Achilles tendon. Wow. Catastrophic season-ending injury for one of the NBA's young faces and the Celtics with a long rehab awaiting. Why did we look this up? A smidge younger, about 1.5, depending on when it actually happened, but about 1.5, 2 years younger than when Klay Thompson did it. And he to do it at 27 years old. We had Ron Holland, and thanks to Ramsey on the text line, who gave me that name, Ron Holland of the Nuggets doing it, and I'm sure Deron Holmes, excuse me.
Yeah.
Deron Holmes.
Rudy Gay did it here.
That was at 30, I believe.
Yeah, and he actually came back, like that was in January, and it didn't take him long to get back at all.
Deron Holmes, 22 years old.
Yeah, I liked him.
It's crazy.
Draft. Yeah.
It's crazy. So, and I think the craziest part of this, when these things happen, same with Dame Lillard, is based on when you do it, you're cooked for the next season. I mean, you would assume maybe Jason Tatum, these guys are elite athletes. He's only 27. Maybe he can get back quicker than we think, but okay, now go. This is the same idea. Now go play playoff basketball. Now go play in March as these things are heating up.
Rudy, I got to double check this. I think he tore it in January. I was at the game against the Pacers, and then I think he was on the court like working out by the end of the summer. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, because I know you've undergone it, they're not necessarily all the same. I mean, it's either torn clean or it's not. So it's either torn or it's not. But I wanted to ask you, I've heard it's not that painful.
That's the one thing that confused me. And obviously Kobe famously took that free throw. That honestly confused me yesterday.
I played with a guy once that tore it, and he's like, he couldn't get up, but he was like, okay.
That made me think initially before I saw the slow-mo that it was an ankle. Because he was writhing in pain.
I thought it was, okay, that might not hurt that much, but he knows what happened, and that's why he's so upset.
That's a good call, because think about KD. KD was kind of just looking around.
Yeah.
Hey, I think this thing's done.
Yeah.
Right? Because that did confuse me, but I think to your point, it was more about I'm done.
Yeah. I'm
I
know
done
a
here.
guy that did it once. Used to work here. Jeff Thackerberry played at UC Davis, and he told me when he towards Achilles, he looked around and said, "Who kicked me?"
Mhm.
He thought someone. I don't know if you experienced that.
I thought there was.
Because I guess when it pops, it's just like bam.
There were two courts, and I thought a ball had rolled from the other court or something because nobody catching me as a fast break. I was pretty much by myself. So we're wishing the best for Jason Tatum. And here's the weird situation with the Celtics. Okay, Jason Tatum's either going to come out of this looking much better because people will give him the respect that I think he's probably deserved for a while. But on the Celtics side, they're going to say, we're paying these guys way too much money because Jaylen Brown does not need Jaylen Brown, $40 million this season, 53 after that, 57 after that, 61 after that, and 64.9 after that when he's 32 in 2028, 2029. A lot of people think Derek White may be making a little bit too much money. It's based on the collection of those guys together. So either Jason Tatum's going to look better and the Celtics are going to think we've spent way too much money on this, or they're going to be still pretty good and Jason Tatum and the lack of respect he gets is just going to continue. Those are the only two options I see.
So you think because he got hurt, he's going to get more respect?
I think it could help. I think Jason Tatum is one of probably the most disrespected players in the league.
While I disagree with Allen, I will say nobody respected Kevin Durant until he got hurt. And then retroactively, people were like, he was really good on those Warriors teams.
But it took, I would say, it again, if the Celtics are a 3 seed next season without Jason Tatum, that's not going to help his cause.
They could next year. They would have an injury exception they could use if they wanted. But their payroll's so high, they'll probably say, yeah,
right.
No thanks.
Right. So
to fill in close the loop on Whitey's point, Rudy Gay tore his Achilles on on June 18th.
No. It was January.
January. That's what I meant. Yeah. Sorry. January 18th, 2017, and then played opening night the following season. For the Spurs on October 18th.
Yes,
so
that's incredible.
Exactly 9 months.
Yeah, and he wasn't, I remember he wasn't great, but he was playing. Yeah.
It's not, obviously, the Boogie.
Played 23 minutes.
Yeah, the Boogie thing, Boogie hung around, that he's a bigger dude too, so.
Boogie and Clay as they had two catastrophic lower.
Yeah, that's
injuries.
true. You just never know what's going to happen, but I think Tatum will be okay. I think he'll be okay. I don't know what's going to happen to the Celtics, and I don't know. Just real quick, Whitey, because I want to get to this Pete Rose stuff. Are you? And I feel like I already know what you're going to say.
Just ask the question, Allen. Don't start the question and go, I know what you're going to say. Don't tell me why you're asking the question.
Because
just
I do.
Ask the question.
And they told me not to do that during the seminar in Chicago.
I'm sorry.
But I did it anyway.
I could have told you that.
But
Great question.
That was that was for real interviews, not this. But Senor Segway strikes again. What would you say as far are you a person that looks at different rings differently as far as no Tatum, no Steph, Dame goes down, Ja went down. This thing is none of the Cavs can.
No, I don't really do that. You can do that if you want. Some people do and have a good time doing it. To me, that's
every ring is just as shiny.
Yes. Except the Lakers. In the
bubble and Dodgers, of course.
Of course.
Those are a little dingy.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, man. This one's looking a little dingy.
You don't even know who's going to win it yet.
I know.
I'm saying we're on
Minnesota OKC could be a great series.
I'm saying we're on
Dingy. Warriors could still win.
We also concluded, Whitey, that whoever wins the championship will get ultimate respect unless it's Tyrese Halliburton. Then no one will respect it.
We're on Dinge alert. I'm just saying.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying.
Knicks Pacers could be a crackerjack of the series.
That's right.
Celtics aren't even done yet. Celtics might go. Jaylen Brown might go. All right, now that's too bad. But now we know what we're doing. Let's go.
Yes, Jaylen Brown, who is getting injections in his knee.
Yeah,
when you said, hey, he's making a lot of money to get injections. Well, not technically, but he's getting them. When you said crackerjack of a series, it reminded me of when Jerry Reynolds filled in for Katie.
Yeah.
And he said something, and it was either about somebody's Pops or somebody like that, and he said that's one tough buckaroo.
Oh, he says that all the time.
And I've taken buckaroo, and I say buckaroo now, not necessarily on the air because it's not my thing, but buckaroo is now in my vocabulary.
One of the first guys I ever heard him call a tough buckaroo was, and I'm sure he's been saying it a long time, Jay Crowder.
Yeah,
and I think it was when Jay Crowder was in the Isaiah Thomas trade,
and he is
Jay Crowder's a tough buckaroo. Yeah.
And he's not wrong.
Many years ago.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
All right. I need to get to this, Whitey, because I hadn't seen this until you were walking in here. So Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner, announced that Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and other deceased players have been removed from the league's permanently ineligible list. Rose and Jackson were among those banned for gambling on baseball. Part of his announcement, Manfred ruled that the punishments of banned players end upon their deaths. The decision removes a total of 16 deceased players.
So Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame, Alan? No.
He's going to eventually.
He's eligible.
So does their time to get in last the same way as what Barry Bonds had, we would assume?
I think there's some gray area there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not sure how the baseball writers will deal with that. It might be, they might say, okay, you're eligible. You got 5 years to be on the ballot once you're eligible. He's eligible now. So,
okay. Well, you know what my next question is?
What?
Is he in or not?
Oh, yeah. Pete Rose? Yeah.
Now that he can't give a speech and just say all those awful things, yes.
Hey, I was on a flight and I saw about the first 30 minutes of a Pete Rose documentary. Now that was one tough buckaroo.
Yeah, I guess so. And there was other things in his past besides just gambling on baseball or not. But I'll tell you what, when he used to do radio interviews, the Carmichael Dave interview with Pete Rose, you heard about that? Where he introduces him as the all-time home run king?
No.
All-time home run king, Pete Rose.
Wow.
Yeah. So ask him about that tomorrow.
I will.
But I was going to say, Pete Rose was always a great guest because he just loved talking about baseball. He knew everything.
Yeah, I would have Pete Rose in as well. I mean, the deceased thing, it's interesting.
Wait. The deceased thing, it's interesting?
Well, letting people in after they're
going to clip that?
Please.
Along with the other thing earlier.
Yeah, there's a lot of clips today. I'm done here. We're done here.
Good job.
Who's on the show today? I don't know.
Today we're going to talk to Jason Jones about the Kings' checkered lottery history. And we may talk to a guy that you know all too well by the name of Bonte.
Oh, wow.
About the Warriors.
Wow. Hey, give him my regards. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson. Thanks to Eric Martins, third base coach for the A's. Go check that out on YouTube or the Sacktown Sports app if you missed it. Thanks to all the callers, texters, Sack Chatters. Thanks to Kyle. Great job as always. And until tomorrow, to the back. Like to be. That's how I imagined that they fixed it for me. They just put a bow tie.
They put a bow tie on your Achilles?
That's how I imagine it.
That is horrifying. Oh my God.
In my mind.
I just kind of grabbed at my calf just hearing that.
I'll show you the scar after this break.
You want to see these scars?
Yeah. I'll show you the scars. So
what movie is that from?
Dark Knight.
Oh, okay.
Dark Knight.
Never seen it.
Don't start with me.
I have not.
You haven't seen? Have you seen any of the? Not that it matters if you haven't seen Dark Knight.
No.
Don't forget my podcast. Gotta go.
The Sacktown Sports 1140 newsletter right to your email. Get your latest on the Sacramento Kings, athletics, and Republican.